Alrighty, welcome to P-Rad'em and Restack 'em. Yeah, we're gonna do a motorsports podcast. I know we tried one in the future, a couple of us have, but I think this is gonna be a little bit more structured. I think this is gonna be a little bit more easier to maintain, if you will, because last time I tried one was on PS4 along with Tyler, and then of course we're joined with two other lovely gentlemen, Devin, AJ. How are we feeling this evening, gentlemen?
I'm feeling good. Hope you guys are. I'm excited to be a part of the podcast and talk about things, NASCAR, IndyCar, F1, some of the best sports in the world, or I consider racing. So, yeah, just excited to be a part of it.
I think we all here consider racing probably the more, better thing for us. Some of us watch other ones, some of us don't.
Racing is definitely, I think, the one thing we all focus on, and obviously I think we all pay the most attention to. I think, and we have a good mix of guys here who are interested in all sorts of different motorsports, and we've got a good group here.
Absolutely. So I know the big talk, I think, for a lot of us is, most of us, we all kind of grew up on NASCAR. I think that's going to be a majority of what we talk about, but don't get us wrong by any means. We are here. We are fans of F1, IndyCar, IMSA, and really any other motorsport. For me, it's anything with wheels. I'll watch the Tour de France and I'll enjoy it. Like, I love racing.
I've watched this too before. It's pretty fun to watch.
Oh my goodness. Oh.
Yep. Y'all can have that one. I'll leave that with you guys.
I mean, I don't watch it a lot, but it is entertaining.
I commentated running the other day in Discord. Oh man, that was something. All right. But anyway, let's get to it. And the big talk, I think, of the past week or so of racing. Yesterday there wasn't really racing. It was Easter, so happy Easter, everybody, by the way. But last Monday, because it got rained out on Sunday, last Monday there was NASCAR Cup Series action at the Bristol dirt track. Honestly, quite the phenomenon. I know they've covered Bristol in dirt before. I never expected them to do it, and then the first dirt track that NASCAR goes to, in 51 years would be a 33 or 31 degree banked short oval covered in dirt. That sounds scary in its own right. But as far as the race itself, it wasn't like a wreck fest or anything. There's a couple of wrecks and the dust got bad. Procedural things and track preparation, I think that's definitely stuff NASCAR can learn from. But as a race overall, what are y'all's first reactions to seeing live NASCAR stock cars on dirt?
I think it went about as well as it could have. They definitely proved that it could be done. They had some hiccups along the way, and the pit stop thing I wasn't too fond of, but it did make, keep the racing, I guess, where it should be, which is on the track. So, that's fine and all, especially with changing out the dirt tires and stuff. And I like how they limited the number of pit crew over the wall. So that was kind of cool to see. And overall, it was a good race. Unfortunate for some of the favorites with Larson and Christopher Bell being caught up in the same wreck. But for the most part, it was very exciting. Very exciting.
Yeah, I think Dirt Bristol is great this week. It had great racing, and the only thing is I feel like a lot of people thought the High Line was going to come in eventually. I guess it kind of did, but it really didn't as much. It was mostly the bottom line. And some people said it was like old Bristol, just on dirt instead.
Yeah, it ended up being a lot better than I expected. When I first heard about it, I couldn't believe it. And I know they did it back in 2000, 2001 with those sprint cars, and they put on a show back then. And to hear that the stock cars were going to do it, I had to watch. And it went way better than I thought. Like you guys kind of said, Malenko said, that it really did kind of turn into like a classic Bristol race where they really hugged the bottom line. And that turned out to be the fast lane. They could kind of drift up high, but the speed wasn't there. It might have been safe, that Larson line, but the bottom line had the speed. And once that track really dug in, it became clean. You know, I think guys really figured it out towards the end, and with the tire situation and the pit stop situation, that was something I was concerned about too. I didn't know how they were going to do that. You know, in dirt racing, that's not something that typically happens. So it's kind of the fair way to do it, I guess. But, you know, it is what it is with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, you know, this was a huge learning curve for NASCAR. You know, they wanted to make it fair because for some reason, NASCAR decided for the first time in 51 years that the NASCAR Cup Series would go on dirt. They'd make it a points race as well. So they tried to make it, you know, as fair as possible, understanding that this, you know, can have championship implications. Though it's so early in the season, I think, what are we, 8 races in? So it can't, you know, it's not going to affect it as much as it would, you know, race 25, but at the same time, you know, all 26 races will have, you know, 1/26th of an effect on the regular season. As far as it went, yeah, I enjoyed it. You know, I think people were expecting, you know, more sliding and more beating and banging, and there was some crashes as well. More of it, I think, was more, you know, driver mistake a lot of the time. But, you know, there was some that was hard racing. I think the Dirtles on the inside made a couple crashes as well. So I didn't like that the track was the reason crashes were caused. But
it was like, I don't know who it was, but somebody definitely killed their, like, splitter down there during the race too.
I think I'm rolling. Yeah. But yeah, I really wanted to get more, you know, of AJ's insight. He gave a little bit, but, you know, kind of the dirt racing fan of the group of us. You know, what package did they use? Did they use 750 or 550 horsepower? I can't remember. But either way, heavy stock cars on dirt. I don't necessarily know if you have, you know, raced anything on air racing or watch anything close to this, but
I think people thought they would handle like the late models and, you know, the super late mods and stuff like that, but they definitely handled more like a brick. But that doesn't mean it didn't put on some good racing, obviously, that we saw. And the cool thing I thought about it was you saw some people who you didn't really expect. I'm drawing a blank on the one. Suarez, there it is. Yeah, Suarez. He was up front a lot of the race, and, you know, that was good to see. And he was even saying, you know, he didn't know what he was doing. So I don't think anybody really knew or what to expect. So now going into next year, they got some history to go off of. That'll be good for crew chiefs. Take some sweat away. There's still going to be a lot of sweat, though, on the stands.
Absolutely. There was something interesting that happened in the race, and for the first time in, like, oh goodness, when was the last time they did it? Like 10 years, 11 years, 12 years now? They had single file restarts, and they have multiple single file restarts. Because I think primarily because of the dirt, but also to kind of, you know, lessen the likelihood of the crashes and all that were really happening on those restart stack ups and all that. What did y'all make of that?
The only thing that I kind of did not like about that is they did it in the middle of the race, but think about it, we had a green-white checkered or something. I think they should have kind of maybe double fouled it there at the end, and, you know, made it, like, you know, more exciting. But also, it's more like, I don't know, fair to the drivers. Every other week you have that if there was a green-white checker, but that week you didn't.
Yeah, I didn't like the single file restarts. I mean, these are the, you know, the best oval racers in the world. Let them go double file. I mean, there was a couple of Twitter posts and stuff from other drivers. One that comes to mind is Dylan Hurt Jr. was saying that the admins have had enough single file restarts, you know, making fun of it, relating it to iRacing, so to speak. But I just didn't like it. I wish they would have stayed double file. I thought that the double file restarts didn't cause anything bad. All of the racing was just hard racing, or the Dirtles getting caught up by some drivers. I think the only, like, big racing incidents that occurred were auto restart was when Christopher Bell tried to take the high line and make up ground and just pushed the car too much, got the rear end out too much, and the car went around on him, and he collected, you know, a ton of other cars. But I mean, it's Bristol, where are you going to go? So that was just unfortunate. I don't think that the restart was a factor in that wreck. That was just Christopher Bell trying to put his dirt racing skills to the test. and make something happen on that high line that no one else has been able to done. And if somebody could have done it, it would have been him. So it just didn't work, which he admitted it. And, he tried something, it didn't work, and he knows for next time. But let him go double file.
I like consistency. Doesn't matter what racing series we're in. If you're gonna make it one way, just keep it that way. I mean, you can't change the rules halfway through. That's kind of my input on that. It messes with the drivers and it messes with their thoughts on the race and how they're going about the race. So whether you're gonna go single or double, just stick with it.
We're talking about that with the double file restarts. I don't even know when they were doing that if they were doing the trues rule like they were all the other races.
Say they weren't.
Which that doesn't make sense either. Why you wouldn't do that? Because I bet you some of them would have just picked the inside line there versus the.
Well, they don't do it on short tracks, right?
They do on short tracks. I think they couldn't paint the V on dirt.
Oh yeah, that's true. That would kind of be taken away a little bit.
I mean, yeah, but I mean, if you really wanted to, you could just be like, hey, here's an orange line on the wall on both sides or something. And then you just pick which side you want by the time that you get to that line.
I mean, yeah, it's only 2 lanes. It's not like a 5-lane highway, so I agree with that. And one more quick point. A lot of, people coming into this week, they were expecting the heavy favorites like Larson and Bell to be up there. I know they got caught up in crashes, but like Larson also in the truck race, like...
You got caught up one there too.
That as well,
but fair, Bell wrecked in front of Larson.
Right.
Fortunately.
Like, those two, they were going at it for the win at the Chili Bowl earlier this year. And I think Christopher Bell had a horrific flip, and Larson was making mistakes every corner and still somehow held on to win. I'm a huge Larson fan, I'm saying that, but they were almost non-existent. I was very shocked at that. I don't know, what are y'all's thoughts on some of the favorites?
Larson had to start in the back, so he was making his way up to the front. He had made his way up to 5th when he got caught up in that wreck with Christopher Bell, but he was there. And then, some other big short track, or not short track, but dirt track names were coming to the front. Ricky Stenhouse comes to mind. He finished second.
And Newman was up there the whole time.
Yeah, Newman was up there. He got wrecked early in the race. Him and William Byron got together, and Newman was back in the pack and drove his way all the way back up to the front. Bubba Wallace, he had success at Eldora in the trucks,
2014.
And he was racing. Yeah, he was racing in the top 10 the whole race. Unfortunately, him and Stenhouse got together and cut his tire, and he ended up having to, drop kind of towards the back then. But for most of the race, he was in the top 10, having a great race. So, I mean, there were some, dirt track favorites that maybe weren't like big names that we keep hearing about in the broadcasts as Larson and Bell, but they were still there.
As for a not favorite, Bowman was fast in both practices. But I think he had a gearbox issue and was running in 3rd the whole race, too.
Yeah, he had no 4th gear.
So, no 4th gear, unfortunately.
All right, so moving on. We have, the Cup Series point standings. Here's the playoff standings. This is something, we were already kind of talking about this before we even started. And we're starting a trend. We have yet to have a repeat winner this season, right? Like, we have 7 races so far and 7 different winners. And we have the potential to really complicate things later on this season. Now, will it happen? I don't know. Will the favorites, each week start come into play? Who knows? But you still have people like Keselowski, Chase Elliott, Kevin Harvick, Kyle Busch yet to win. Yeah, Denny Hamlin yet to win.
Points leader. Yeah.
That is wild. And then you got to think, you have stuff Dega and Daytona and a lot of road courses coming up. We could really see something shaking up. What are some surprises you might expect, or people won't expect, but might happen? Where not one of the favorites is maybe somebody who consistently makes the playoffs who may miss it this season.
I think that the no practice has really had an effect on the drivers, and I mean it's not in a bad way. I think it's a good thing because these guys have to go out there with what they got, and then you get a really good mix of racing. So, I mean, I think to bring all those practice days back, like they might bring like one practice back,
The
and
time they'll
maybe
break
that
out.
practice, maybe that practice sets, has an implication in qualifying or something like that. But it makes for some amazing racing, and then you end up getting all these these different winners, not a multiple winner. You're getting different winners every race, and that, I think, directly correlates to the no practice, and then racing with what you got, adjusting on it during the race, and letting the driver will the car. And we're getting to see the good drivers. Now, that's not to say that Hamlin and Larson, and I mean not Larson, Elliott and Harvick and all of them aren't good drivers. They're up front for most of the race. They just haven't been able to put it together for an entire race. And we saw that last season with Kyle Busch, one of the best drivers. Yeah, one of the best drivers, and he can't put it together for an entire race. And everybody's saying that it's because he doesn't have practice. If you give Kyle Busch practice, he's going to dial in the car, he's going to get it like he likes it, he's going to run away with it. But now that he doesn't have practice and is adjusting on the fly, he's not as dominant.
Yeah, looking at it, let's look at some of the names outside the cut line here. Like Eric Almirola, 28th. That is a massive shocker. Tyler Reddick should be, closer to the cut line. Who else? I don't really know where the 38th is going to perform this season, but I expected not 30th from Anthony Alfredo. That's also me being a fan. Chase Briscoe in the 14 car. That looks like Stuart Haas is really struggling. Matthew Benedetto's finally kind of getting out of the dumps, but he's 24th. There's a lot of names.
Can get back in there too, because he's also out like 23 points. But Roush isn't really up there anymore for what people say. So
yeah, these standings.
Was Alex Bowman's out of it?
No, he's in.
Oh, he's in. Sorry, he's just in, right?
Yes.
They're just in 4 points.
Yep. So it was there's a lot of drivers, like you said. Was it the big one that's, I guess, is surprising me is going to be Matt DiBenedetto and Eric Almirola not being closer than what they are, considering that both of them were fabulous last season.
All right, so a lot to play out here. But before that, we have also, that's trucks. We had testing for rain tires at Martinsville. This could be huge. I don't think they're going to use it this season. That was kind of the plan going into the test. And even though Kyle Larson really enjoyed it, I think the NASCAR feels they need more testing for rain tires, which is fine. I think really it might come into play next season with the next gen car. But how about tracks like Martinsville, New Hampshire, Phoenix, and Richmond? 4 very flat short tracks, and sometimes those races I can recall at least 3 of those 4 tracks have had rain delays in recent years. Oh, actually all 4 in recent years. What kind of what reactions did you have to the tire testing?
Well, one of the big. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I have a feeling Martinsville and New Hampshire, it might work a little bit better for, but like Phoenix, I have a feeling that one might be hard with like people going on the dog leg and stuff, because the water is going to build up, I feel like, a crap ton down there on the apron. And then what was the other one that you said?
Richmond.
Richmond
is kind of
banked too.
Yeah,
so I don't know how that one's going to work.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to work well at the banked circuits. Maybe you can make it work at Phoenix if you don't use the dog leg. Like if the dog leg is made like, in iRacing, they have the Legacy Phoenix, which, there was grass there, but now there's not. But say if you have to stay on the track, they put track limits in, and you can't use the dog leg, it might work. Definitely with Martinsville and New Hampshire, it definitely could work because it's pretty much flat. So you're basically running turns like a road course, like a road course at that point. And in fact, that's the tires that they used at Martinsville to test it, were the Sonoma road course tires that Goodyear has already manufactured.
Yeah, so what I heard, most of the testing is, for damp racetracks, not water on the, not really standing water on the track, which I think is a double-edged sword. Yes, I think, NASCAR spending 90 minutes to dry, a half-mile short track could definitely be unwarranted. And, if these drivers can go out there and race, 30 minutes into track drying, beautiful. We get an hour of our lives back. However, it's a damp track. There's no standing water. I think those tires, I mean, even though the track is damp, those tires are going to heat up really fast. And Goodyear's going to have to probably bring 2, 3, maybe 4 sets of rain tires per team.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, those rain tires are meant to be on a wet circuit. I mean, it's very similar to F1. If the track is drying, like it's not wet, it's drying, then those tires do not last long. Like the intermediate tires that the F1 guys use. You'll see them running crazy lines down the straightaway through the turns just to get out of the racing line to cool those tires off, so they're actually in some water. And that would be something that would have to be done for the NASCAR guys too. Well, once they race that inside line at Martinsville, for example, and that starts drying up, they might have to move to the outside just to keep the tires cool, so they're not slipping and sliding around on ice.
How interesting would that race be? That would be something.
Yeah, for sure.
But I know. I guess this oval racing kind of isn't your thing, AJ. But when you think about it, you think NASCAR, doesn't normally race in the rain. They'll race it maybe on road courses. Can you fathom an oval in the rain?
No, I can't. But this is the exact thing that NASCAR is doing right. IndyCar has been chasing NASCAR for quite some time, and they've been kind of nervous to really reach outside the box. And NASCAR has really done that this year. And with this rain test, I mean, that's just like some icing on the cake almost. We got Bristol Dirt. We had road course at Daytona race last year. I mean, they've done so much to expand, what they're doing. I almost wish IndyCar would do that in a way. I'm not saying rain ovals in IndyCars. That's not what I'm saying. But I do want some more oval races in IndyCar, and just try some new stuff. Whatever that may be. Try some new stuff.
Kind of like how NASCAR is going to COTA also this year, that a lot of us are going to. And they're, I think, Road America they're trying? Or
Cup cars are going to Road America, right? Indy road course for all 3 series.
Yep. Wasn't there one more?
Yeah, I know. So Daytona road course, Watkins Glen, Sonoma, Indy road course, COTA, Road America, Charlotte Roval. Those are the 7.
Yep. And then we got Nashville as a new track too.
Yeah. Well, not really new. Returning.
They're older returning track.
Right.
And all of those things are from listening to the fans. And so that's what's going to keep growing your sport, is listen to your fans, even if it's a swing and a miss. Bristol was a great show, and they're going to go back, and I wouldn't say I would like to see that every year, but they're going to try some things, it's not going to work, and they're going to try some other things that might be amazing.
Right. I think, Bristol Dirt, it was pretty gimmicky, but I think one race out of 36, I think, might be better if it was a shorter schedule, maybe not every season. But back to the thing about IndyCar ovals in rain, we could definitely, try Gateway in the rain. They should, I think, start experimenting with that. Gateway's not too banked. They could do Gateway.
Or Milwaukee Mile if they ever wanted to go there.
You can go back there, yeah.
Yeah, like I said, any of the flat, those flat short tracks, because they're going to drive like a road course. You have to drive the turn like a road course. So the wet tires, which are designed to work on road courses, work better.
Yeah.
Are you guys going to be sitting in the stands watching a wet oval race?
I would. I mean, would y'all sit in the stands?
F1 fans and IndyCar fans do it all the time. So
that's fair.
I was just about to say, would y'all sit in the stands, for a wet road course race?
So back to the dirt track real quick though.
Yeah.
Would you ever want to see them on Eldora? If Tony ever decided to do it? Because I think it would be cool.
Cup cars?
But I don't know if he will.
Is it Tony's decision, or was that NASCAR's decision?
There's a
Tony
lot.
wants it sounds like, but then it's also NASCAR doesn't want it.
Eldora is a little small.
That's fair. Yeah, it's
half mile.
Yeah, but then, the pit lane and holding 40 Cup cars,
Yeah.
that can get.
But the
I mean, if they could have did what the trucks were planning to do at Bristol with like the heat type of qualifying, then
I mean, they were-
maybe.
that's kind of what I thought they should have done from the beginning. If you're going dirt, go full dirt. I think that was kind of too many cars on the track at once. So yeah, you need to have those heats to give that entertainment all night long, and then have a good main shootout.
Right. I think
That's what I think they should do next year. I agree.
Yeah, I think because it's a points event, still keep the others in, but have them do a B main, and award them 21st to 40th points or whatever.
But then like 3 of them or however many they decide, get it?
This would have been the great all-star race.
I think they should have experimented more with this as an exhibition before bringing it to
Kind
points.
of like what they did last year with the the Bristol All-Star race last year. They added like all those other different things. They kind of just did that this year, had it there as the All-Star.
Yeah.
Yeah, that probably would have been a good idea.
So I don't know how many people did watch a truck race at Bristol Dirt as well, but that was also something. I did not watch a lot of it, but I know Martin Truex Jr. showed up and kind of ran away with it, and not really having dirt experience. That was very shocking. And I wasn't too mad at Truex coming down and beating up on the truck guys. And normally I'm kind of on that bandwagon, but at the same time I don't really care. At the same time, he's also not really driven dirt, and for him to do that was pretty remarkable. But what are y'all's thoughts on the truck races? The truck race at Bristol and the one heat.
I saw highlights. The heat, ended up getting wet, and the trucks, got all muddy, so there was nothing really to do there. Other than that, I saw a little bit of the highlights. It seemed like it wasn't too bad compared to like the Cup race. I don't think they had as many wrecks as the Cup race did.
Well, some of the truck drivers, they're used to going to Eldora every year, so they have some experience racing on the dirt. That the Cup guys, some of the Cup guys don't. And then, some of the younger Cup guys do because they had to come up through the trucks. But as far as like Truex coming down and dominating, I think that had more to do with the crew. I think that they set that truck up the way it needed to be set up to run. And, that's probably one of the best, behind the scenes crew in all of trucks is, that Kyle Busch team.
Absolutely, yeah. KBM, they usually come, very prepared, and KBM again, they've had, the 7 years of, Eldora races to kind of set up for Bristol. But again, banking difference is huge, but still, dirt is dirt. Raise the front end, and yeah, again, for the truck race, I think we saw even more regulars towards the front. Granted, again, like you said, they've had years of dirt experience, at least once a year, but I know Crafton's won an Eldora race, but he was up there a bit, and who else was up there? Creed, and oh goodness, I'm drawing a blank. But it looked more like a normal truck race, just with some dirt getting kicked up.
Well, we can't talk about the truck race and not talk about the Nemechek incident.
Oh yeah.
Oh man.
What happened with Nemechek? I don't think
So-
I actually saw it.
So to recap, basically, Nemechek was up at the front. I think he was 4th or something at the time, and he ended up getting he got tagged in the rear, I believe, getting into the turn, which is nothing normal. That's pretty normal with dirt.
Very slight tap.
Yeah, it was a slight tap. It sent his truck around, and he ends up in the outside, but he hasn't hit anything. He's up on the outside. He hasn't hit the wall. Kept it off the wall, and he was waiting for all the trucks to get by. He was going to pull back down behind them and go about his business, try to get back up to the front. Well, a couple of trucks, they're kicking up so much dust and everything, and a couple of trucks, I guess, didn't slow down, or one of them slowed down, the other one didn't, and he got tagged in the rear and got spun up into Nemechek and basically ended both trucks' day. And I can't remember for the life of me the name of the other driver. But Nemechek took exception to that driver and his
Derek Kraus.
Yeah, Derek Kraus. And Nemechek took exception to Kraus and to his spotter and crew chief. basically calling them out, saying that they weren't paying attention. What in the world are they doing? Using some selective language, we'll call it. And yeah, I mean, I don't like it. I mean, I understand you're at the heat of the moment and all this stuff, but his antics afterwards, like his spotter could easily just went down there and talked to the other spotter and be like,
Yeah.
"Hey, what happened? What happened?" And then, you know, we're watching the replay at home on TV and we're seeing, oh, Kraus got tagged and spun up into him. That wasn't his fault.
Yeah.
And so, you know, for Nemechek to do what he did after he got out of the truck and basically go down the pit road, like run down pit road to Kraus's pit crew, give them a bow, and, you know, basically taunt them. You know, I didn't like that from Nemechek. And I mean, the guy's the top driver in the trucks right now. Like, I mean, it's you and Sheldon Creed, dude. Like, why are you getting so, you know, upset about that when it's one? You know, I mean, I understand you want to win every race. I get it. You know, we race high racing stuff. I want to win every race that I race, but like you could have been told, like, hey man, it wasn't his fault and all this stuff well before he did all those antics.
I think that goes back more to the spotter. I get it, you know, not liking his actions and all. At the same time, you know, these are, you know, grown men in a highly competitive environment. I get that. Not really, you know, the reason for everything that happened, you know, on pit lane and all that. But yeah, I think that falls more on the spotter, the crew, you know, not saying, hey, you know, wasn't his fault. Matt, you know.
Yeah, but he did that, and
This
his
is true.
crew just agreed with him. They didn't.
Yeah, that's
Oh
fair.
no, his crew just agreed with him. So I mean, you know, that's shame on both parties there, I guess.
Right. So let's take a look at the other national NASCAR Series point standings. So look at trucks because Xfinity had their week off. Like you said, John Hunter Nemechek at the top of the point standings. Well, the playoff
Along
standings.
with Ben Rhodes.
Ben Rhodes.
I think they both have 2 wins out of the 4 races this year. So it's opposite from the Cup Series
No,
of what's going on.
Nemechek has 1.
He does? So Rhodes has 3 then.
Rhodes has
Or,
2.
oh no, Kyle Busch has 1. That's
Yeah,
right.
you gotta think. There's
Forgot about
2 Truex and Kyle Busch, right? So there's only 3 regular Truck Series drivers who have won. 2 regular Truck Series drivers that have won this season in the 5
out of the
races.
4 races, yeah.
5.
Is there 5?
Yes.
Oh, that's right, Daytona Road.
Yeah.
Which was Rose, or right?
Yes, that was Rhodes. Rhodes won Daytona and both Daytonas.
Right.
Which one did Kyle Busch win?
Vegas?
No, Nemechek
No,
won Vegas.
So he won Atlanta.
Kyle Busch won Atlanta, and you know Truex just won the truck race at Bristol Dirt. You're looking at this playoff standings, and there's not really a cut line. I'm trying to see if we can get
The cut
there we go.
line is Austin
yeah,
Wayne Self
yeah,
and
it's
John Hunter.
Austin Wayne Self inside the playoff cut line. How about that?
Over Johnny Sauter.
Johnny Sauter. Wow. Carson
Brett
Hocevar. Look at Carson Hocevar in the thick of it.
Yep, over Moffitt too.
That is tight, and those are some names on that playoff bubble that that I'm always kind of a fan of the Truck Series playoffs just because you don't really know what you're gonna get. Top 5 or so, and then it's kind of who else can make it in from there.
Yeah, I mean, the trucks are really exciting when you actually get into it and you start seeing, like, here's these guys trying to get up, and some of these guys are lifelong truck guys, but there's a lot of them who are younger kids who are trying to make their way up through the series and trying to make a name for themselves. And I mean, this is where you do it in the Truck Series, then you move to Xfinity and prove it all again. But yeah, I mean, these are some good standings right now as far as where Hocevar, Austin Wayne Self are sitting, trying to prove themselves, and I think they're doing a really good job.
So now it is important to note these truck guys are not racing this weekend at Martinsville. They're racing in 2 weeks at Richmond. But I want to give also a shout out to Stuart Friesen. I think he missed the playoffs last season by a chunk. I mean, he missed it by a lot. And right there in the thick of it right now in 5th, Austin Hill, Zane Smith. They're up there. Grant Enfinger. Todd Gilliland, a pleasant surprise inside the cut line as well. And then Rafael Lessard, he won at Dega last season, just outside. Back here, Parker Kligerman, is he not running for truck points, or why is his name grayed out?
He's down there. I know. Kligerman's.
Oh, because he doesn't have enough start. He hasn't made all the starts.
And I found out Quinn Howell for Cup Series Emerson. It does look like he's out. Like he doesn't have enough starts or something.
And he's made all the starts this season.
It doesn't make sense.
Okay. I want to say huge shout out to the 75 team and Parker Kligerman, because they're ahead of at least 5, maybe more drivers. A lot of drivers who have 5 starts this season. So he's ahead. He's done 2 less starts, and he's ahead of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 drivers who've made every race this season.
Cross has had horrible season. I think he's wrecked almost every race. I think.
Haley Deegan's not even in the top 20 in points, so she's not even considered.
I think she's wrecked.
She's wrecked a lot. Yeah.
The flat tire Daytona road course, ruined her day there.
Timothy Peters, was hoping for better. Tyler Ankrum, man, he made the playoffs last season. Look at him. My goodness.
He's had some of the worst luck ever.
He's had some rough luck. Man, do y'all think Ankrum will be able to make it back?
It'll be a tough road. I mean, he's a good driver. He can definitely push for a spot. But as bad of a luck as he's had so far, it's gonna possibly come down to a have to win, like have to get a win.
And then he's got to be inside the top 20 of points, which I think but over the course of the season he'll be up there. But still,
if he can, I think he can get into the top 20, and then it's just gonna be a matter of probably gonna have to win to get in.
Absolutely. So shockers here on the cut line. Who do you think actually, makes it in? Austin Wayne Self, Carson Hocevar, Rafael Lessard, Chandler Smith. Do you think any of them make it in? Do you think they all all miss it?
It's hard to say at this point. I mean, Hocevar's done a really good job. Austin Wayne Self has done a really good job. But again, can they keep that momentum up for the whole season is the thing. Like, they've had some great races to start. If they can keep the momentum up, they're going to make it. I fully think that they can make it. It's just holding off those bigger names behind them who we know, may not be having such a great start to the season, but that consistency that they normally are known for of getting in, that'll start to show itself, especially after we get into the thick of stuff after, the dirt oval at Bristol, and now we're starting to get into the meat of the season. You'll start to see these guys really put up a fight to those younger guys.
We'll take a look at Xfinity standings and kind of what you expected here towards the top. Allmendinger with his win. I'm very, very happy that he's in and he's here for a full-time season, and he's here to kind of reprove himself. I don't think he has to prove himself, but I think to NASCAR, I think he kind of does. Not the sanctioning body, but to the sport as a whole. So happy for Allmendinger to get his win and then be up there. And Snyder, Allgaier have wins. Cindric has 2. Those are the drivers in, and there's 6 starts. Ty Gibbs, he's not going to make the amount of starts this season, but he won the road course, right? That was also a shock. But looking at these points, man, Jeb Burton up there, very proud of him. Jeremy Clements in the thick of the playoff battle. Brandon Brown, these are people. Clements and Brown made the playoffs, previously, but now they're up there and they're in the thick of it. I know it's only been 6 races, but
talking about it, Gregson's out with those horrible, few races he's had.
Yeah, Sieg and Annette, they're out as well. Those are a couple names you expect to be up there.
Annette is kind of hit or miss because he's been in the bubble. I think every year he's with Junior Motorsports. He's on that first bubble.
Right, but it's a Junior Motorsports car. It should make the playoffs every season.
Should, but his driving doesn't really show it. It seems like, unfortunately, for him. Landon Castle, though, it's like he's always close, but the car's never fast enough for him.
Oh, Devin, what are you thinking?
I mean, I think, at the top we're seeing the names we think we should see, Cindric, Hemrick, Burton. The surprises, Jeb Burton, Clemens, Brown, like you were saying, those guys. I mean, they're close to the bubble, but I mean, they're right now they're solidly in, to the playoffs, and I would think to see that Riley Herbst would be up there a little bit higher than what he is at the moment. But I mean, he's right on the bubble with a net right behind him on his heels, only 1 point out. But yeah, the big surprises are, Jeb Burton, but he's hooked onto a great team, and I think that Colleague has kind of replaced Junior Motorsports as the head Chevy shop right now, which is surprising.
Wow.
I mean, if you look at their total stable horse of, their stable of drivers, the Colleague guys are performing and consistent every single race. Jeb's been up there. I mean, I know Jeb ran for Junior last season, and he kind of showed like, hey, I can do this. And so Colleague gave him the ride when Chastain left, and he's proven it. Like, hey, yeah, I'm here. I'm ready to go. And I mean, I wasn't expecting much from Jeb, but I mean, I wish him luck. He's doing great. I think the only Junior Motorsports in there is Allgaier with the win, and that's the only reason he's in at the moment.
Right.
That catapulted him up to 8th in the standings. He was out of it before he won at Atlanta. But I guess the one that everybody's surprised about the most is Gragson being out, which I'm actually not surprised at all.
Me neither.
Because Gragson is his own worst enemy.
Absolutely agree.
I feel like he puts himself down a lot. At least from watching interviews and then his racing lately too.
Well, I mean, so there's putting yourself down that's constructive, and someone that comes to mind that I follow that does that would be Charles Leclerc for Ferrari and F1.
Oh, yeah.
Like, yeah, he's hard on himself a lot, but he's very constructive about it, and he knows how to fix it. He knows he can be better. He puts himself down over the radio, but it's not because he's degrading himself. He's like, I know I'm better than this. I'm going to fix it. And the thing is Charles hasn't made the same mistake twice. Yeah, he made a lot of mistakes in his first season with Ferrari, but he never made the same mistake twice. And so with Gragson, he keeps making the same mistakes over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, you're going to be way too aggressive on a restart and put yourself in a position you have no place being in when you still have 200 laps to race, and then you get wrecked, and then you blame someone else. And then it's like his other antics, like those are that's gonna be what keeps him out of the Cup Series more than just his consistency, is his antics. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I get that some people love the enthusiasm, they love the heat of the moment, the passion that he's showing. I get that. But when you back up to somebody in pit road when their crew members are out there, that's not passion. That's that's idiocracy. That's dumb. That's something that in F1, if you did that, or any other motorsport like IMSA or anything like that, if you did that to another competitor with people in the pit, that's banned. Like, I think in IMSA that's an insta ban.
Not only is that dumb, he made his car owner pretty much eat his own words. I mean, Junior said on his podcast a couple weeks prior to this incident you're talking about, that he wants to see how this plays out, which, Junior likes to, he likes the aggression. He likes to let the drivers speak on the track and all that kind of stuff. But I think it almost went too far now. And I think Junior can't let this stand much longer.
I think that it's good for Gragson that they had this week off, and I can almost guarantee you that Junior said something to him during this week off. And we'll see when we get to Martinsville if whatever was said. I mean, I don't know, but I assume, just because we know how Junior raced, and we know that Junior is not that type of person. Like, he's not going to endorse that type of behavior on the track. So I'm sure he said something to him, and we just have to see at Martinsville if that took heat, or if we're just going to get the same old Gragson, with his antics. Like, I mean, he works for Junior, so being a Junior fan, I want to like him, but I don't, and it's just because of his antics on the track, and he just keeps talking. He keeps talking to the media this certain way, which is fine, but then when you go to back it up, you do dumb stuff, and it's not backing it up. It's just reinforcing what everyone is saying about you, is that you are the bad guy. Everyone says that Kyle Busch is the bad guy of the Cup Series, but I mean, the thing is Kyle Busch doesn't do dumb crap like that. He races. He's a great racer. He just, he's aggressive on the last lap. Yeah, he might, put the bumper to somebody, but it's the last lap. I mean, I can say I'm not a Kyle Busch fan, but I have to respect that the guy is good. And I mean, Gragson is a fast driver, but the stuff he does on the track is not going to get him to Cup Series. It's going to prevent him from getting there. And he's not just going to be the bad boy, the bad boy of NASCAR. He's just going to be the guy who ruined his future by doing dumb stuff.
I don't disagree. All right, we're going to get some Martinsville picks in, and then we're going to get to a break here. But first, we're going to start off, with the Martinsville picks. Let's go to Xfinity first. So now we're talking about Xfinity. Let's kind of go down the line. Who are we expecting to win? Who do you think, outright just win, show up, win the race? If it's, if some stuff goes down, maybe that top contender gets knocked out or whatever, give me like a dark horse pick, kind of like they're, lurking in the shadows, maybe the top 15 in points or whatever, that, might all out win. And also give me a long shot, if it's a complete and utter, wreck fest and people are upside down and in the catch fence, who wins that race? Mark will give me some 3 picks like that.
So for somebody topping the points, looking at his Cup Series when he was in it, was AJ. I think he'd get a win with how he was running there in just the 47, which was a little underfunded. He seemed to make that car better. Somebody that's like just outside the bubble, I'm gonna maybe go. Maybe not outside the bubble. Maybe like Riley Herbst, just inside. Maybe he'll do good there. And then for somebody like way out of it, I'm thinking maybe Ryan Sieg.
I like him. What are you thinking, Devin?
So for overall win, I'm gonna go with Cindric.
Okay.
So I think Cindric he's a good road racer. Martinsville can drive like a road course, being that it's so flat. I do think that AJ will be up there to battle him, but I think that Cindric is your favorite going in. For my secondary pick, I'd go with AJ Allmendinger. I would love to see, someone like Riley Herbst get up there and win, but I would go with AJ. And then for my total long shot, I'm going to go with Santino Ferrucci.
Whoa, okay. I said long shot. He went long shot. He might just show up and do it. You never know. If you are on the entry list,
he's a road course guy. So.
Exactly. If you're on the entry list, you have a chance. Somehow, some way, even if it's the smallest chance, you have a chance. I don't know if you really keep up with the Xfinity Series, AJ, so if not, you can just say pass. But if you do, you got any picks for Martinsville?
I'll give you two picks. I'm gonna agree with Devin on Cindric. He's just been so good this year and just a hot driver, and he's gonna get it done. If he can get it done, he's gonna get it done. And then the kind of long shot, I think someone will be there at the end, is Ty Gibbs. He has been there at all the different types of tracks they've been to already this year, whether it's been the road course or the he won the Daytona ARCA race, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yep.
So I mean, just he's got momentum on his side, and he's just been up front. So that's gonna be my second pick.
Right on. I have not looked at the entry list, so I don't know if he's on there. He could be.
I was just going by points because I got one other one. Emerson. What about Josh Berry if he's there?
Wow, that's
a long one.
What car?
He's Motorsports.
Ty Gibbs is running. All right, you're right. I guess AJ already looked at the entry list. But I saw Ty Gibbs with 2 starts. Like, oh, I don't know what races he's doing this season. So beat me to it. For me, I know, I like the Cindric and the AJs. I really, I'm a fan of AJ. I'd like him to win. I think all out, I'm gonna go with a Toyota, and I'm not gonna go with him. I'm not gonna go with Hemrick. I'm gonna go with Brandon Jones. I think he'll actually show up and win. I don't know why. I'm feeling like it's a Toyota weekend. I'm not a Toyota fan. I just feel like Toyota's gonna show up. Joe Gibbs, they're gonna show up and they're gonna have something to say about Martinsville. My dark horse, I want to say Riley Herbst as well. He's got to, represent for the other Ford team, the only other real, Ford team in the Xfinity Series. I think Herbst is my dark horse. And my long shot, I'm going to go... Is he even long? I'll go Michael Annett. I think if it's, an absolute wreck fest, he'll somehow make it through all the wrecks. And he'll be there. And then let's do the same for the Cup Series. We're going to rock with... I'll get my picks first for the Cup Series. I think Denny Hamlin will finally break through and get his win today, or this weekend at Martinsville. My dark horse, I'll throw... I don't know. Bubba's won at Martinsville in the truck, so I'll throw Bubba up there. And my long shot... The Alfredo fan in me wants to say Alfredo. I'm not going to say Alfredo. Maybe Chastain. Chastain's my long shot. What are y'all feeling?
I'll go. I think Martinsville's so tricky.
Right.
But I think I'm going to have to go with Chase. I think Chase is finally going to break out of just the horrible start to the season that he's had, which hasn't been that bad. But I think he'll break out of it and get the win at Martinsville. For someone that I think that could win, I think that would be probably in the Toyota group. I'm going to go with Kyle Busch. So I think that this would be a good track for Kyle Busch to get a win at. Truex has been pretty dominant here, but I think that if one of those Toyotas is going to win, it's probably going to be KB. My dark horse... I'm going to go with one of the Roush guys. I'm going to go with, what's his name? The 17. Busher, yeah, Chris Busher. I'll take him as my dark horse. Because Roush has been coming on lately, and I mean, Busher's proved that he can drive the car, and now they got some more money behind him with LeBron James buying, I think 48% stock in the, putting at 48% stock and trying to rebuild that team, and I think that they'll come into Martinsville ready to go.
Speaking of Busher, I think didn't he lead at Atlanta this year, or was it
he was up front for most of the race
Homestead.
at Homestead.
Homestead? Sorry, wrong race.
Yeah, he led like a lot of stage 1 at Homestead. I was shocked.
And stage 2.
He won stage 1.
Right.
Yep,
right.
he won stage 1 and he led almost half of stage 2.
And so I'll go next. I don't really have a favorite. I'm just going to pick the 2 that I feel like have been there every race at Martinsville the last couple of years. Denny or Chase, personally. Denny has the wins. Does Chase have a win there yet? I don't know. Don't remember. But I think one of those 2 will win it. Like or dark horse at the cut line, I would think maybe Kurt Busch for that. Or outside for a long shot. If the Benedetto's having a good day, it could be him or Eric Almirola out of nowhere.
I like all of those picks. What are you feeling, AJ?
Yeah, I'll give you 2 more again. I'm going to have to agree with everybody on Chase. I think he's going to be driving harder than anybody else this race. He's really digging for a win. And then I'm not sure Harvick's record on Martinsville, but I think he's going to be driving pretty hard this weekend too. He's had a rough couple races, so I'd like to see him up there.
So unfortunately, with you, AJ, I personally don't think Harvick will at this track with his record here.
He
at least the last couple, he struggles bad.
Which is really weird to me because he does so good at Phoenix.
Yeah,
and I know they're not the same, but they're pretty similar. They're flat, short tracks. Now Phoenix is longer, but I don't know.
And he's good at New Hampshire.
Yeah,
which it doesn't make sense.
that had always struck me the wrong way that he struggles at Martinsville. I don't know. He might show up and win too, because
You never know.
he is a champion for a reason. He does, he's shown up to this track so many years. He does, have the ability to go out there and win.
I think he's won it once, but I'm not sure.
I think he might have won Martinsville back in the 29 car.
Possibly.
I think that, man, that is a throwback. It's like 2012 was the last time you ran the 29 car. That's crazy.
Wasn't it 2013?
2013, yeah, 2013, right? You're correct. But yeah, we're gonna get to a break here. If y'all are all tuning in, go ahead and comment down below. I'll read them all out. During the break, we might talk about them a little bit when we come back. But yeah, if you're commenting, go ahead and comment down below. What are y'all's thoughts? What are y'all's picks for Martinsville? And on our side, we'll be back with a lot of IndyCar, IMSA, F1, and pretty much anything else that's raced the past couple of weeks. There's racing in the next couple of weeks. We'll hit on even a little bit. So yeah, y'all stick around. We'll be right back. This is what P Radham and Restack 'em. Welcome back to P-Rat 'em and Restack 'em. We're here, we've done our NASCAR pretty much hour of the podcast. We're here for pretty much everything else. IndyCar, they've been in the thick of their preseason testing and, getting ready for the 2021 season that starts in 2 weeks' time. I'm pretty sure at Barber. And, F1 just started their season a weekend ago, not this past weekend, the weekend prior at Bahrain. IMSA's done two Crown Jewel events to start the season, and then we get into the meat and potatoes of the IMSA schedule starting in May at Mid-Ohio. And Formula E is heading up their 3rd and 4th rounds of the season, and we got a lot more coming up. But we're going to hit it off with IndyCar and our IndyCar ace of the group. AJ, how you feeling about it? Oop. Go again. Go.
There's definitely a lot of testing going on at IndyCar these past couple weeks. They've been at 3 different tracks, or actually 4. They were at in Barber a couple more weeks ago than that. But yeah, they were in Sebring, then they were at Texas. There was a few cars at Indy, and they were all testing for different purposes. Sebring, you saw Pato O'Ward top the charts. And let me see here. We had Rosenquist, who was not too far behind him, so nice to see him adjusting to the new team. Let's see, with the Andretti's, you had Rossi topping the charts for them. And then when they went to Texas, they were really testing for that second groove, or as IndyCar's calling it, the no-go zone, and trying to see if they can figure out something to do there to get some two lanes working there. Last year was pretty single file racing at Texas. It was very hard to pass, which it's a double-edged sword. I mean, you want some close racing at the ovals, but you also don't want too close to make it where you can't even watch it. So that's what they were doing in Texas. And then in Indy, they were messing with the theoretical push to pass. They're switching over to the hybrids in a couple years, and they're thinking that they could bring back the push to pass on the ovals. And it wasn't really received too well by the drivers. It wasn't a real what they were doing to simulate the push to pass was just giving them a little extra horsepower, but in a couple of years they're going to be using the KERS system, I believe, to give them that electronic boost of horsepower. But it was 100 horsepower, so that's quite a bunch there, especially at Indy. So that's really pushing the speeds there. So I don't know if the drivers knew what to think.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool on paper. I think for ovals it could really mess with the races. So when you think about the Indy 500, and don't get me wrong, because strategy is definitely part of racing, but the Indy 500 has started to become solely strategy, not even really more or less overtakes on the track anymore, because it's so hard with the current package. I know the 2023 engine is going to be a nice switch, but I like IndyCar trying something. But if the drivers don't feel it's safe or don't feel it's even effective, it's back to the drawing board. What can we do with these current cars to make the oval racing a little bit better?
I don't think they're too far off for really than what they can be to make it exciting but also challenging for the drivers. We were kind of spoiled in those 2010 era.
Yeah.
Those packed racing and side by side every lap and passing every lap. We're breaking lead changes at Indy almost every year, so we're really spoiled with that. So let's take that aside. Indy's always been a fuel strategy race. I mean,
for sure.
Even 50s and 60s, you had people running out of gas in the last lap. So that's always going to be a part of it. But to bring a little more passing, I think they could probably add a little downforce to the cars. They could probably, but again, it's they've tried that a little bit with the older packages, but they're not far off. I really don't think they're far off.
What do you boys feel about IndyCar and their oval situation? Then them trying to bring in KERS.
Isn't that kind of like what F1 has? Or is that
F1
F1 doesn't have
F1
that?
used to have KERS.
But now they have what, just DRS?
Oh, they've had DRS for a while as well. They had Curse and DRS at the same time at the beginning of last decade for sure. I think they got rid of Curse in the 2014 cars. What was it?
So I was gonna say it kind of worked for F1 when they had it, but when it comes to like what
They're
they
not
have
on
now,
ovals, you know.
True. I don't know how it would work. Though. I haven't looked into it, so I don't really have an opinion.
I don't know. And don't get me wrong, like when I said earlier, you know, that the 500 just becomes solely on strategy. Again, I understand that. I just and I know the package we had at the beginning of last decade as well was, you know, very entertaining, and unfortunately things happened because of it as well. But I think, you know, if you're not leading the Indy 500, you're really at a huge disadvantage. It's tough, especially if, you know, if the race runs entirely green, which it's starting to get more and more greener as the years go on. I think the most recent 500 we had more cautions, but when it, you know, it's green for so long, what can you do if you're in second place and you're on the same fuel strategy as the guy in front of you? It's so hard once the leader's out to that margin. So that's more what I meant. I didn't mean, you know, get rid of the strategy part. You know, I want passing every lap. I get that part.
Yeah, totally. I think, you know, what you're seeing there is just how dialed in some of these teams have gotten over the years. I mean, the Penske's and the Ganassi's and the Andretti's have really dominated IndyCar in general, but they've dominated the Speedway. And when one driver is clicking, you know, that he's hard to beat sometimes. And you know, one thing I will say to that is, yeah, the last couple of years has kind of seen a dominating driver, but the one that dominated last year didn't win. And the year before that, you had Pagenaud and Rossi fighting it out to the last lap. Now, Pagenaud ended up winning it, and he kind of dominated the whole race. But like I said, I think they could probably go with a little more downforce just to maybe keep them a little closer. I think that's where you're losing the excitement a little bit is, you know, they're getting to those corners. If you haven't made that pass done by the corner, you're not getting it done. It's just the car's going to get too loose under you. It's going to send you up the wall. And now you got 2 or 3 laps to try and get it back. I mean, Rossi's probably the best at least the last couple of years, the best at staying close to a driver and making that overtake work. So yeah, you know, it's gonna get better, and with the new package coming in a couple years, hopefully Penske, he knows his stuff and he likes his ovals. He'll get IndyCar to some classic ovals.
Right. I agree. I think, you know, IndyCar needs more ovals, and we need more of an Indianapolis, Texas, and Gateway. It obviously, you know, don't get rid of the 500 or anything, but yeah, I'm shocked, you know, given the reason that we've seen a decrease in ovals, that Texas has stayed on the schedule. Granted, you know, the reconfigure has made it, you know, very difficult to pack up. But, I mean, I recall going, 2019, you know, to the practice session for IndyCar, and they were packed. No, it was 2018.
I can see them doing some more of, like, the Roval courses, like Daytona Road Course and the Charlotte Roval. Those are tracks that they
maybe not with the curbs.
They tested
Charlotte.
on the Roval, right?
Right.
Yep. What's his name? Newgarden. Yeah, Newgarden tested on the Roval, said he loved it.
Was kind of pushing it there at the end. He wasn't just, you know, taking laps. He was keep driving that car.
Oh yeah.
What are you gonna do? So. And that's what you're supposed to do when you test, especially when it's a new track. You gotta push
that was more of a promotional stunt, though. It was during like the NASCAR weekend, no?
It was.
Yeah, that was crazy.
He was pushing it.
He was. I'm sure, you know, he loved it. The fans loved it. The team got some data. But there's more testing going on, more preseason testing, you know, at Sebring and Barber and where else did they? Oh, you said Indy and Texas as well. But the road courses, it really, you know, that's the meat and potatoes of the 2021 IndyCar season preseason testing. You know, we saw, you know, Dixon be, you know, himself at the top, a lot of them. But what are your takeaways from Barber and Sebring?
Well, the biggest one I think is just seeing how fast Pato is and how he's how he's going to do this year. A lot of attention was given to Grosjean, very appropriately, but he's been struggling. I don't think that's a surprise. You know, him and Jimmy are tackling some new beasts here. I mean, even though they're
Sure.
different disciplines, it's still a complete different car than either of them have driven. So a lot of attention has been on them. They're still second or so, 2 seconds off, but you know, they're drivers, and when the season starts, they're going to be in the hunt for sure. And then the last one, I think McLaughlin, he's going to come out giving Pato a run for his money. I don't think the IndyCar field is ready for him. He's just it's going to be another dominant Penske at the top of the field.
That's crazy. I mean, like you said, the names. You have McLaughlin, Grosjean, Johnson, you know, and Cody Ware actually coming out of nowhere. That's insane. But really, those three names, you know, McLaughlin, Grosjean, Johnson, you know, in IndyCar, all of them as rookies.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy how we're when we're talking IndyCar off season, these are the constant names that we've been repeating.
Right.
It's, you know, Dixon just won his fifth championship or sixth championship, and you know, Newgarden, he's been trading back and forth with Newgarden. You know, Newgarden's going to be up there too this year, and Power's going to be fighting for a job this year, and potentially Pagano too. So you know, there's a lot going on. It should be a really exciting season, and also Herta now going to be full time with Andretti. He's going to be one to watch alongside.
Go Herta!
Herta's got some wins in his bag this year, I think. Him and Rossi are going to be fighting for top spot at Andretti. That's all going to come down to is if Andretti can get the wheels running by the start of the season. They got it going, you know, late in the season last year, but it took them a while to really get going.
Yeah, and Herta's got a different look. He's going to be in the 26 Gainbridge car instead of the normal 88. So that's going to be kind of interesting for some people who may have become Herta fans like myself, and now we're got to look for him in a completely different car with a completely different numbers. So,
Also, talking about Jimmy and Grosjean, I thought Grosjean would maybe get a little more, you know, used to it faster, because I guess, you know, aerodynamically, you know, they'd probably get better. It would be easier for him to get used to versus like if he went to NASCAR versus Jimmy coming from a, you know, stock car to IndyCar. It would probably be a lot harder for him.
Yeah, I kind of expected that too, but I think he underestimated how difficult the IndyCar is to drive. I mean, you know, you're losing the power steering,
Right.
and all the technology in the F1 car. Even though he was driving a back marker car, he's gonna feel like he's faster, and he's gonna feel like he's in a much more equal car in this IndyCar once he's up to speed.
Absolutely. And I want to say I've been, you know, as a Jimmy fan from NASCAR, I've been watching his, you know, his testing very, very steadily. I know he ran out and ran F4 at Sebring and stuff like that. Or Laguna Seca, I'm sorry. And that has been phenomenal to see how dedicated he is to this craft. And he's picked up, you know, he was 3 seconds off the, you know, the next slowest car in the field. And I think he's brought it down like tenths of a second now to the next slowest car. And he's still, I think, 3 seconds off of Dixon, but we're not expecting him to be Scott Dixon pace, even though that's his teammate. No, not even close. But I've been watching that very steadily come down the gap.
He's definitely proving how great of a learner he is. You know, he really hasn't done much on the road side. So I mean, the last couple of years he's getting himself educated, and it's really showing how quickly he's able to adjust. It's not easy, but if anyone can do it, Jimmy's one.
Absolutely. Let's talk about the Indy 500 field, who Jimmy's not going to be part, but that means Tony Kanaan, insert him into the 48. You know, it's going to be, you know, competing for the Indy 500, or, you know, trying to make the field and all that. And how the field is looking, it is looking pretty mighty. We got, you know, the news of JPM today and Santino Ferrucci, or there's a scheme for Juan Pablo Montoya, and the news of Santino Ferrucci. I mean, what do you think of this Indy 500 field?
Well, let's start with that Ray Hall, Letterman, Lanigan team, and let's just take a quick look at where those three drivers finished last year. And in the Indy 500. First, third, and fourth were those 3 drivers. So that you can't get much better than that. So look out for them. Ferrucci definitely wants Indy 500 win. He wouldn't be here if he didn't. He's messing around with the Xfinity stuff, and I think he's got a future there. But I think the Indy has grabbed him, and you'll see him in at least the 500 once a year, hopefully for many years to come. Other than that, those Penske's I think are going to be strong.
Yeah, this is crazy. I mean, we still have how many more unknowns do we have in the IndyCar field? I mean, the Ferrucci, was good news, but I mean, there's still so many more rumors. And what do you think of, the possibility of a bump day, being a thing again?
So I think we've got 36 confirmed drivers, if I'm not mistaken. Now that makes number 36, and the 37th would be that Top Gun Racing with Intermission.
Yeah.
That's not confirmed yet. They're waiting on a fan, if they're going to be letting fans at the 500 for that. That was the reason they didn't run last year. They were in for last year.
Is Alonso gonna try again this year or no?
No, Alonso's not doing it this year. I don't know if you'll see him back at the 500. He hasn't really expressed too much interest in coming back. I think he might have burned some bridges at some of the places he's been to.
Yeah.
But as bump day, I mean, that's what Indy is all about. I mean, that's part of the build-up. I'm disappointed you don't have a whole weekend dedicated, or a whole 2 week was dedicated to bump day and qualifying, and you'd have 40-50 drivers show up, which I know that's not realistic. So I'm ecstatic with having 36, potentially 37. That's the most in, gosh, I don't know how many years now. They've had 34, 35 the last couple of years, but the more the merrier, and that bump day just builds up that hype, and it's all for that 33rd spot too.
Yeah, speaking of that, it's kind of like NASCAR this year. They actually had, more people in the final year of this, Gen 6 car for the 500 for once.
Right, there's the duels actually had to be competitive this year a little bit, not like 60 people showing up in 2009 to try to make the Daytona 500.
If only.
That was gnarly. 30 driver duels, that's gnarly. But no, for sure, I'm very happy to see bump day come back and have more racing to watch. There's gonna be more to the 500, and just show up. I mean, you can watch practice and all that, but really, doesn't mean too much, because you kind of already know where the field's at. And I know it's kind of the first oval of the season. Well, not anymore, because I think the Texas doubleheaders before that, right? Yeah,
the Texas doubleheaders before that.
So we'll kind of already know where we stand for the ovals too. So it's good to know there's still reason to be in tuned with everything else. If you're just a casual fan, I think I'm gonna follow IndyCar a lot more this season, especially with Jimmy. But just seeing, hearing how competitive it's gonna be this season. As a Dixon fan, I don't want to be competitive, but as a motorsport fan, that can get really, really interesting really quickly. How about Pietro Fittipaldi for Dale Coyne?
Yeah, he should be interesting. Now he's running just the 500 or the ovals, I believe.
I don't know.
I'm not sure if Fittipaldi's running the ovals. He just ran at Texas, so that'll be interesting to see. I know he wants to be full time. He's filling in for Grosjean in the road courses, I believe. So I'm 99% sure I'm right on that, but I might be wrong. Someone correct me if I'm not. But yeah, we'll get him in an IndyCar, and I see him at Coyne probably in the future, because I mean, Grosjean, he might be doing this 1 or 2 years. I can't see him do it longer than 2, to be honest.
He's had a long F1 career, so he's up there in the age.
I mean, we'll see what he thinks this year, but that's probably Fittipaldi's seat for the future, because he's going to come with funding, and Coyne, always takes drivers with funding.
What was it? Beretta Autosport with this Silvestro That's an interesting entry as well.
Kind of, I don't want to say make up for last year because she's deserving of a seat, but last year there wasn't a woman in the Indy 500, and Penske recognizing that, and getting that team up and running is a great thing. We've got a lot to thank Penske for this year and last year. He really did a lot for IndyCar and the sport, coming in at the right and the worst time possible. Right before the pandemic started, and he couldn't have been dealt a worse hand, yet he's convinced 36, maybe 37 cars to enter into the 2021 Indianapolis 500 and bringing back a woman driver. And she's got the skill to make the race. Not only make the race, she could be in the top 9. I mean, that's a Penske car.
Right.
So you get that car dialed in, she can make the Fast 9 and be there that Sunday.
Yeah, you think of, women in the Indy 500. Most recently, you think of like Pippa Mann, and she's not a prominent name. She's, towards the rear of the field because of the car she's in. And I think that'll be a very pleasant surprise if they can get that car up and running and, solidified in the 500. That'll be definitely one thing to watch. But we've talked about preseason testing. We've talked about the 500. There's a lot more races in that season. What are we thinking 2021 overall? Is this Dixon's season again, or is it far from it?
He's gonna be in the fight, that's for sure. I can't give you one name though. I can't because it's too stacked. We could be halfway through the season and I might get this answer wrong. I'll give you 3, and 2 of them are gonna be boring, and 1 of them could be exciting. But Dixon, I think, will be up there. Newgarden, I think, is going to be up there again. The veterans are going to come out to play at the end of races and at the end of the season. And if anybody can give them a run for their money at the end of the season, I think it's going to be Herta. I think Herta has that couple of years experience now and got his feet, a little more comfortable in it and in the car. And those are going to be my top 3. But man, you could toss those out after a couple weeks, a couple races.
Absolutely. How are you feeling, Tyler?
To be honest, like I said, I haven't followed it that much the last couple of years. I'm going to try to more this year. I watched a couple races last year. Every year I watch the Detroit Grand Prix usually because, I'm from here. And then I try Indy 500 to usually watch, and then like the first and last race I watch. So I'm just going to try watching all the in-between ones this year, and we'll go from there.
Well, as a Dixon fan, it's hard for me to say it's not going to be him. But, like you said, this is a stacked field. There's no clear favorite, I think, coming in. I think, the favorites are the ones with the experience, if anything. Like you said, Dixon and Newgarden. Pagano's also going to be, I think one that'll come back, because he won the title in 2018, correct?
About 2018, but he's got a title.
He's got a title, right? I think Pagano will, like you said, kind of, fighting for his seat a little bit. He's gonna have to, prove it again. I think he'll have that fire in him. I'm not a Pagano fan by any means, but I can definitely expect him, I think, to kind of have a relit fire under him. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. I wrote that down in our bullet points. It didn't come to my mind how tough it would be. I'll leave it at that. I think those 3 will be ones to think of. That was a very nice IndyCar segment, but from one open wheel car to the next, Formula One. I know we're all Formula One fans. I know we all sat and watched Bahrain. 1, how did it feel to be back on the normal Bahrain circuit? But 2, the season's underway, gentlemen. What do we think of it?
I was gonna let you go ahead. I was just talking a lot.
Yeah, Marco, what you think of Bahrain?
So, because of work, unfortunately, that week, I didn't get to watch it in the morning. Or I probably just slept through it, whatever the hell it was. I thought it was a good race, watching the highlights. They actually had a great battle for the win. Even though Max came back from far behind, I don't know what you call for the ruling on it, but I know a lot of you guys here, or at least Emerson here, doesn't care for Max, but also a lot of people don't care for Hamilton anymore because he's been dominant so much. But he got pushed off. Or it seemed like he got pushed off the track, but also could have been just a racing thing. But it seems like I don't think he had to give it back. They're kind of too strict, I feel like, in F1, but at least they're consistent.
It is, the FIA always being, hard on these drivers. And whether I like Max or not, I call it how it is on the track. And there's two different rules at play here. The things that people were complaining about with Hamilton is he was extending the track, which at first the FIA deemed was okay, and then retracted it midway through the race. I don't think that's how they should do it. But that is a whole, that's its own rule. Extending to gain a lasting advantage. What rule Max broke was he was defending a position off the track, which is a whole different part of the rule book. And I cannot... on paper, it looks the same. Hamilton extend turn 4, he gained time. Verstappen extend turn 4, he held on to Hamilton. They're two completely different things, two completely different mindsets. I want us to separate that. Well, not us, but as a motorsport community, to separate those right away. Two completely different rules, two completely different scenarios. Whether you agree with it or not, it is what it is in that sense. But yes. I do agree, on with the paper thing, Max shouldn't have given it back. Or I think, once Max cleared Hamilton, Max is in clean air, Hamilton's in dirty air. He could have pulled a 5-second penalty.
I think there's a couple things you could have looked at here. I mean, one is, the ruling is, you can't go over to extend your advantage, and that's the rule. I am a rule follower, and I believe that when you mess up like that, you should pay the price. However, if that's the case, let's take a closer look at that, and let's maybe determine where Max completed the pass, because I think there's an argument that Max had already completed the pass prior to running wide. He had a gap in front of Lewis, and then he ran wide, and if he hadn't have, there was not much room for him to go back across Hamilton. So I think there's a couple things you could argue here. So, beside the penalties and beside that, the racing was great. It was exactly what F1 needed. And with Max and Lewis coming down to the line, it was unfortunate we didn't see Max win it cleanly, or Lewis technically won it cleanly, but he, had the position, gave back, and Max his tires, I think, were just dead at that point. But I think Max had the pass done. That's my point.
I agree. I think it comes down to defending the position, but like you said, the room to come back to rejoin the circuit's one thing. Should have Max left the circuit in the first place is another thing. And like you said, multiple different viewpoints to argue for or against it. But like you said, also, nonetheless, an amazing race, and I think F1 needed it.
So not just the top two,
it was
they were
all
battling all around.
Absolutely.
McLaren was, they were actually, I think, the third best team this week versus Ferrari might be back up to fourth.
And it was a pleasant surprise to see Leclerc qualify fourth, and then, Ferrari not, fall straight down to running order. As a Vettel fan, it was very sad to see, his incident with Ocon. But then not even that, just, the struggle all weekend and start, back at the grid and all that. That was tough to watch.
But as a class act, he still apologized to Ocon after the race too. So that's Vettel, though.
That was great to see, because I think Vettel recognized as soon as he had his little rant over the radio, he may have bit his tongue, and he knew he had to make things right. And he's a good guy. Deep down, he's a friendly, generous person, and he knew he had to do that.
Absolutely. The midfield was great. Before I go on with that, I have the note here in the doc. I wrote it down on purpose. Here in the States, Formula One is broadcasted on ESPN, and that's how we have to watch Formula One races. It's ESPN. It is commercial free, which, before that on NBC, SN, or NBC, the F1 races were not commercial free. okay. I love
Kind
that.
of like the NASCAR stuff, yeah. Always commercials. It was
Well,
kind of annoying.
you see, but F1 is ran off a world feed, and so they would cut into the world feed and throw a commercial in the middle of the race that wasn't even a designated commercial. So I'm very happy ESPN worked their deal out with Mothers to get the entire 2 hour or the entire time slot from lights out to flag broadcasted. I'm very put on ESPN. That is amazing. For a network that doesn't even really care about motorsport, that's amazing to me. But with that being said, they also pulled in their largest ever audience for a Formula One race here in the States on ESPN or wherever ESPN is, worldwide. 890,000 viewers. That is huge. It's been around the 700,000s, throughout the seasons and the past couple seasons on ESPN. So to have them nearly get to 900,000 is huge. For Formula One's point of view, on American fans becoming more and more involved in the sport, I think that's going to help them. I don't think Formula One's struggling. I think they were a few years ago, but I think now they're not struggling. But I think the more fans Formula One can get, the better. The more eyes they can get on it, the better. And it was a great product for eyes to come and watch.
They've definitely been trying to get into the U.S. market more lately, and the ESPN deal definitely helped with that. That's what hooked me when I caught myself watching an F1 race a couple years ago, and halfway through the race, I realized I haven't watched a single commercial. I said, "All right, I think I can get into this." But then with seeing how big these numbers are, I unfortunately have to think to contribute it to two things. One being Romain Grosjean, and two being Drive to Survive. And the mixture of those two things at the last, that third season, that last episode, I think people were, pretty trigger happy to see some F1 cars. And then for it to be back at the track that it happened is kind of eerie, don't you guys think?
Yeah.
It's a little...
Go for it.
I'm just saying it's strange because the race is typically at the beginning of the year, and because of COVID it was pushed back to the end, and then you're right back here at the beginning of the year because Australia gets canned again.
Right. That is... Yeah, that's crazy how that works. Let me give a positive twist on it real quick. And I think the later start time, these races are normally 8 a.m. here, in my time, 9 a.m. Eastern. This was 11 Eastern. This was 10 my time. I didn't have to wake up with an alarm to watch this race. I think that.
Yeah, I think myself, the only reason I didn't watch it, I don't think I had work because it was a Sunday. I have been having Sunday and Wednesdays off, so my problem was I probably stayed up too late and then slept there until like 2. But talking about the racing, 2 drivers I think we should have looked at that weren't really there. Perez started from pit lane, ended up 5th, and then took AlphaTauri's I don't know how you say his name.
Yuki Tsunoda.
And he did good and got 9th.
Yeah, Yuki impressed me, and I think he impressed the entire F1 world with his Q1 lap time.
Oh, yes.
They kind of hindered him, though. AlphaTauri got a little confident, tried those softs in Q2, and just couldn't get a lap time down for him. And then with Perez... he did struggle a little in qualifying. It was his first, chance at that in the Red Bull. But boy, he showed he knows how to adjust, and he wheeled that car to a 5th place. Is that what it was?
Yes.
Yep.
So
and started from pit lane.
That's just unbelievable. And to have the mindset. One thing I heard when his car shut off, not only did the car shut off, his radio was shut off. And being in a new car, he could have just parked it, but he had the awareness and the knowledge and the experience to reset the car, and it started up. He got the wheel started, and then that started the engine, and he was good to go to get in pit lane, like you said, and start from pit road. But he had no communication with his team during that time, so that was all him.
I wasn't aware he didn't have communication. That's huge. Especially, like you said, new team, new car, first race in the new car. You might not know how to really deal with full reset. I'm sure, maybe they, debriefed it before they even got to Bahrain. But still, to be put in that scenario right off the bat is absolutely insane. And then yeah, Yuki, man, Yuki Tsunoda. That's the guy right there. I was I was yelling in this Discord when he went, when he put his time up. It was Saturday morning, and I think Malenko was in here and all that, and I was like, Yuki Tsunoda just went like second quickest or something. He went top of the charts. I can't remember what it was, but he went up there. I was so excited for Yuki Tsunoda. Really just to see AlphaTauri do well. I think that's an underdog team everybody can kind of get behind, especially with Gasly last season and all that. That is
Gasly winning, Kvyat getting a podium.
Yeah, that is. I think they're kind of the feel-good story of F1 for the most part.
They're no joke this year. I mean, it wasn't a fluke win. I mean, it was a lot of crazy things happened last year for Gasly to get that, but he also held off Carlos Sainz coming at the end of that race in Italy. So, and with this year with Tsunoda, that kid just adjusts and just can drive fast, and he proved that in Q1. Needs some race experience, I think, but once he gets that, him and Gasly, man, they're going to be up there getting points on a regular basis.
It'll be.
What about
go for it.
No, you can go, Sensei.
I was just gonna say about the strategy today this race. I found it very hard to follow. With Mercedes attempting the 3-stop and all that, I was so lost in that.
And then Red Bull just deciding not to go pit right after they did too, which I felt like kind of hurt Max, and that's why he had to chase him down.
So I totally think that Red Bull kind of screwed Max out of this win, and it's been the other way around many times out of Max's aggression. And I think Red Bull came into this way too confident, and they just thought they had the pace. And they thought by the end of the race, even if Lewis was ahead because of the undercut, that the pace was going to be there, and it was. But obviously how it played out wasn't how Horner or anybody in the Red Bull crew thought it was going to be. But the race was really lost in the middle and in the pit strategy. I mean, if you would have just covered Hamilton, it wouldn't have been. They wouldn't have been in that situation at the end of the race.
Yeah, absolutely. Originally scheduled for this upcoming weekend was the Chinese Grand Prix, of course. COVID is, barring that again. Next up, we have Imola. But, all this being said, is it too early to say, even though it's been one full Grand Prix, and, there was, the wonky start, the first 6 laps were under safety car. Plus, we started a lap later into the Grand Prix. So, I mean, really got like 7/8 of a Grand Prix. But is it too early to make some predictions for Formula One? I mean, you can make, the normal predictions. Who's going to win the title? It's either going to be a Max or a Verstappen answer. Maybe a Valtteri answer here or there. But more looking to the midfield. Is it too early to really rank the midfield?
Yeah. Because if you look at it, Lando and Ricardo actually got 4th and 7th. I don't think we talked about Ricardo or Sainz, but they got 7th and 8th, with their new teams. They got points right away.
Right, I think we were expecting Ricardo to score points right away. It's a McLaren. We did not know where Ferrari was going to stack.
Yeah, we didn't know where Sainz was going to be.
Well, we didn't know where the car was going to rank, first of all. But yeah, we didn't know about Sainz either. I trust Sainz a lot with the way he came up the ranks. I think he has a lot of knowledge about these cars and car control with these cars and all that. What do you feel, AJ, about ranking this midfield? Is it too early, or do you think you can give a confident ranking of the midfield right now?
Well, considering that the third team is pretty much a midfield now, I think McLaren showed their pace. Norris is coming in with a lot of experience. Ricardo knows how to drive anything, and he's going to show that. And his car was actually, they found out he had a little bit of damage on his car throughout the race, so that may have held him back a little bit. So I think that McLaren pace is there, and they're going to be the ones leading that mid-pack. Ferrari impressed me. Alpine kind of disappointed me, but we'll see how Fernando deals with that. I don't know. I'm not a huge Fernando fan. I think he's a hell of a driver, but he's kind of been a cancer in the clubhouse type person. He's never really gotten along with the people he's worked with, so I can't imagine that's going to help Ocon in any way, such or form. So yeah, I can't imagine they're going to be up there. And so then you're talking about AlphaTauri. I think AlphaTauri's that gonna be up there.
So, where do you think we put Aston Martin at then
Yeah.
right now? Because I know Stroll got the last point, but Alfa Romeo was like, I don't know how far back that they were, but they got 11th and 12th.
It also is Aston Martin as low as they are now. You know, is Vettel going to take a few races, or do you think Vettel's kind of, you know, shot in F1?
I think we can expect a few good finishes from him. I don't think we're going to see the consistency, but they have definitely got a good car. But they're having the same struggles Mercedes is, or the Mercedes are with the downforce in the middle of the corners. The same reason why Red Bull took that advantage away from Mercedes. So they're dealing with that same problem Mercedes has, and you know they might be regretting doing a whole copycat thing last year. I think that kind of plays negatively into Vettel's hands because I don't think he ever really got used to the Ferrari, and I can kind of imagine this is driving a little similar. I don't think it was, but it is a new car, and you know I'm not too sure. I can't say much good about Stroll. I'm not a Stroll fan. I think he deserves to be in F1, but he's not a top of the line driver in my opinion. He's gotten lucky a few times, I think, but I don't know. I don't know.
Think we're all Stroll fans here. Like, I feel like he was kind of, you know, his father bought the team, kind of got gifted the team versus, you know, some of the people that worked their way up into F1.
I don't really like Stroll as a driver.
I
Like,
was
I don't think he
he's
shouldn't be
that
out of
good.
F1 or anything because of, you know, of the way he got into F1. No, I don't like him on the track.
He just lacks the focus sometimes.
Right.
He makes some mistakes that you'd expect a veteran, which he's not a full-on veteran, but he's been around a few years,
Yeah.
and he, you know, like Devin was saying earlier, you know, Charles doesn't make the same mistake twice. Stroll does. And
Yeah.
I
He
don't
put-
disagree.
he can put a lap together for sure, and he can put a race together sometimes for sure too. But he makes those mistakes time and time.
I do have to say I was very impressed in the Williams at Baku. I agree, you know, the Williams was not what it was now, but yeah, I know we're kind of going over time, but I want to keep talking F1. This has gotten a really good. This has been a really good conversation. We'll just shorten up things later. Very impressed with the Alfa Romeo improvements. Williams, does George Russell finally score a point this season?
I think yes. He got 14th right off the back in the first race, which is, yeah, minus 2 DNFs, but he still finished, Vettel spun too. So maybe Gasly still finish the race. But, you know, people had problems. I think he will. They're actually faster than Haas this year, it looks like. So, and Haas, you know, being faster than Williams last year, got some points when they could. So I think Williams would do the same thing, just flip-flop the teams now.
What do you feel?
If we get any kind of crazy races like we did last year, there's no doubt he scores a point. He's just gonna be more comfortable in the car, and he's gonna make better race decisions, and that alone is gonna keep him in the hunt. And at any time, you know, you have a 2-3 car wreck, maybe at a restart or of a start or something like that, bunches him up. Yeah, Russell's got to get one, doesn't he?
You see that, but that's what's been happening the past few seasons. You go back to, was it Hockenheim 2019, and then man, there was a lot of wrecking last season, and his only points was 8th in a Mercedes. Granted, you know, it wasn't his fault why he got 8th in the Mercedes, but in a Mercedes, that's basically not even points. It's 3 points, yeah, on the stat sheet, but that's like if you don't finish 6th in a Mercedes, you score no points. Like,
Have a whole episode on if he actually had a flat or not at the secure
yeah,
ground. I mean, there was so much. I mean, he was dominating that race. I mean, I think he dominated that race up until then. They pulled the plug on him really quick, which I get it. If he had a slow leak, you don't want him to go around the whole track, but it was the shortest layout of any F1 track of last year, maybe Austria, but I think that was a little bit shorter. So just let him go, and if he has a flat, then you find out. But I thought they pulled it too quick.
Yeah, I feel like they should have given him, more of an opportunity. At least see how the tire handles. A few more laps. But yeah, I mean, I don't think I hide it at all. I'm not really a Russell fan. I don't hate him. I think he's a really good kid and all. I don't like anything about him. Nothing to me, struck me yet. I think this is kind of like his make or break season. I mean, okay, you'll take Sakir out of what he's done in the past couple of years. I need to see him put a race together. He, even with all the crazy races, they've had the past couple seasons where Williams was right there in 11 for 12. I mean, take out the Mercedes race, and who knows where he would have finished at Williams. To be fair, you can also take that out for Latifi as well. Latifi finished 11th 3 times last season to Russell's twice. So we need something. We need Russell to be putting some races together here. Is all I'm saying.
True.
That's very true. I agree.
All right. I don't want to sound like a hater because I really do make it sound like I'm a hater of George Russell.
He hasn't given me a reason to dislike him. I'm not necessarily a fan. I thought he impressed me at the Secure GP just because of how aggressively he went after Bottas, and the fights at the beginning and in the middle of the race he had with him. I think that Williams car is just so damn hard to drive.
That's fair. So you said exactly. He hasn't given me a reason to hate him. I don't hate him. Again, I think he's a good kid, fast kid. But I need that racecraft to come up. I want to see what happens after he puts a race together, because I think that'll be huge. I think Mercedes, if he had better racecraft, Mercedes wouldn't have any question this past off season.
True. On to the next thing for me for F1.
Okay.
I know Haas. They announced that they're not going to be putting upgrades into the car or something this year. After the first race or something, and I kind of feel bad for Schumacher. I don't know about so much Mazepin for things that have gone on for him throughout the beginning of the season already.
As a driver, I feel bad for Mazepin as well, because he took let's look at him just as a driver. What he did in F2 was phenomenal. Like that was insane. So as a driver, I feel bad for him. As a person, we'll leave it at that.
But Schumacher, I kind of feel bad for him. He thought he was going to get something decent right when he came in, and he's not getting really anything. Kind of like when Russell and them got into Williams when they came in. Now Haas seems to be, dead last in the order this year, and they're not going to upgrade at all.
I'm shocked Alfa Romeo did not take Schumacher over Gio.
Yeah.
Or Raikkonen stayed.
I'm not surprised there, but Gio, for how many times he's wrecked the last couple of years, I thought they might have switched him at least. Kind of like they took Charles, and then Kimi came in there.
I think that even with Schumacher's F2 championship, they might feel they might be a little rushed, and so I think they were a little nervous to maybe throw him in one of their cars, and in a Haas car was kind of an easy scapegoat, and they're gonna put him up to one of the most aggressive F2 drivers that's ever been in Mazepin, so that'll be a pretty good comparison. I mean, it's almost like your good guy bad guy comparison there. I mean, Schumacher is the good golden child of this new F1 era, and Mazepin's this bad guy bringing this bad reputation to the sport. That being said, I think the whole not upgrading the car this year is probably one of the smartest things Haas has done in the past 4 years. That's probably sounding pretty extreme, and yes, I still feel bad for the drivers, but that car was nowhere, and they were just chasing a dragon. I mean, anytime they got close to any solution, they would just 2 step forward, 3 step backward, something, and focusing on 22, I think is going to be the right decision. We're going to find out next year, but unfortunately, but yeah, it's still going to be exciting to see both of those drivers in the F1 paddock week after week, and just to see the Schumacher name is great.
Absolutely. Yeah, I didn't even think about it like that. I just thought, not upgrading was pretty idiotic until you put it like that. Yeah, they're just going to be chasing the other teams that are, also upgrading. That is...
Well, complete new regulations come next year. They're putting all their eggs into 2022, and they're totally throwing this way a year. That's what Gunther said from the beginning when this was announced, that they'll be lucky to get a point, but the payoff will be next year. And if that doesn't pay off, I can't see Haas actually staying around much longer.
Right. If they're not at least like the 8th best car next season, it might be something.
To be scoring points on a regular basis. They came into the sport hot, and they were getting better every year, and then something happened, and they couldn't, and they were going backwards. So Haas isn't. He's got a lot of money, but he's not going to throw it away in this venture. So they need to get back into points.
Are you surprised that they stayed with Gunther, do you think? Change team principles there?
I'm more surprised that they didn't change anybody else in-house. I think him and Haas and Gunther have a great relationship, so him staying doesn't surprise me, but they haven't changed anyone in-house since 2016, other than now they're drivers. Like, that's it. Like, you enter Haas and then you don't leave. Unless you're Kevin Magnussen and Romain Grosjean now. But all their crew members are all the same, so that's where I'm surprised is, if you have this trouble that you just can't seem to overcome, you need some new mindset, you need some new ways of thinking in your team, and just some new ideas thrown around.
So I think we can talk definitely more about F1 in the next week, especially, we'll be preparing more for Imola. Moving along, we'll get to IMSA, which this is a lull of the IMSA season, because you have the Daytona 24 in January, Sebring a few weeks ago in March, nothing in April, nothing in the first couple weeks of May. You get to middle of May before the next IMSA race, and then it's a 2-hour 40-minute race at Mid-Ohio. IMSA, I gotta say, the crown jewels of Daytona, Sebring, they have been, very entertaining. They've been spectacular endurance races.
Especially at the finish of that last race, Sebring had an amazing finish. With 5 prototypes battling each other there?
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
We had 5 guys battling that out after that 12 hours. That was unbelievable to see, and to have Bourdais come away with the win with, I believe, he had some broken something on his car and was not too happy with his car at the end of the race, but he still outwheeled everybody.
Yeah, I think almost every DPI had some issue that day.
Fair.
It was like, that was wild. Again, as a Dixon fan, that one hurt to see him get body slammed by a GTD, I believe. No, it was a GTLM. No, it was a Porsche. Porsche's GTD. But that one stung a little bit. That, by the way, Malenko said it during the race, and I totally agree. That 25 was looking for blood. That Porsche.
I felt bad for the Corvettes, man.
Oh man, the end of the GTE, the end of the GTD race was something else. No, it was GTLM, because Corvettes and GTLM. Yeah, Corvettes and GTLM. But oh my goodness, that was rough. And then the 79 almost came away with the win.
Yeah, if the Porsche would have had a lot of damage, yeah, it could have been the other BMW, the other BMW winning.
Man, Sebring was wild. There was a flip with, I think it was an LMP3 that ate some tire barrier in turn 1 and flipped. That was insane. There was, I think, a Lamborghini and a Mercedes that caught together in turn 4. They annihilated a tire barrier. It was absolute madness at Sebring. These are professional teams that, to be fair, they had a short off season with, you know, the season ending not very late, but November, as opposed to the season normally ends September, October. So it was a shorter off season for the teams. It's a lot of professional sports have shorter off seasons this year. You already know why. But that was, wild. I mean, I don't think it's these teams being lacking preparation. It's more these drivers. They were kind of itching to get back to the into the seat, especially with IMSA. IMSA has month-long breaks, between their big races. That makes it tough on these drivers as well. And then Daytona as well. I mean, there was not a shy moment in that race as well. So much going on. The finishes were not as good as Sebring, but they weren't bad as well. They were the DPI class again. It's a top class. It's the class going for the overall win each week or each race. So they're always talking about them. But the fact that it's only such a big class, but so many of that class are on the lead lap at the end of these endurance races is phenomenal.
Devin, AJ, you guys got anything?
I don't think Devin's here anymore.
I've been trying to follow IMSA. I'm trying to think back to the Daytona races quite some time ago.
Yeah, it's been a minute. Don't worry. It was January if you don't remember.
So I'm having trouble thinking back much to that race, but yeah, I know the Sebring was exciting at the end.
Yeah, wow. And if you go back to last season, Road Atlanta ended under safety car. It was a tight battle for the overall win at Road Atlanta as well last season. Man, IMSA, I gotta say, the past few seasons, IMSA, hasn't been, edgier seat action. It shouldn't be. They're endurance races, they're sports cars, very expensive sports cars, you shouldn't be, wrecking them each week or anything like that. But man, I don't know what happened, but the intensity has definitely picked up in this series. I think it's how competitive it's gotten. You could, I didn't follow it too hard, but I know that it got really repetitive with the winners each week, especially with the types of tracks. You go from Daytona, a fast road course. You go to Sebring, a fast road course, and you have Road America in the middle of the season, a fast road course. You got just the consistent teams that are good on power. They're just pulling away from the teams that kind of focus on aerodynamics, and you only have Mid Ohio, VIR, Road Atlanta, and I think the mix of tracks really plays to a certain set of teams. I think maybe the schedule mix has been better, or those tracks provide better. I don't know, but it has been definitely a spectacle to watch, and I'm excited for Mid Ohio in May.
So not this year, but depending on what I want to do next year, I might try to go into the Belle Isle races, whether it's just the IMSA series or if I go to all three, the IMSA and the 2 IndyCar races. I think it'd be fun to go watch that there. Seems like an interesting track.
That sounds like an absolute blast.
All the bumps and stuff.
That's got to be a great weekend to see so many road cars on one track in one weekend.
Speaking of which, another thing, Jimmy Johnson is running, in the LMP2 car, the number 48 Ally DPI. And Scott Dixon, he comes over from IndyCar, does really well in these DPIs. They're pretty similar in kind of the way they drive. I know it's closed cockpit versus open cockpit, 2 completely different machines when it comes down to it. But does this, maybe help, or does this translate to an IndyCar a little bit better? Do you think, AJ? The LMP2 at least, or the DPI?
Probably not as much as you think. I think the drivers can transition, and they just can get it. They can kind of click a little bit with those cars, but to compare them, they are very different. The handling on them different. I know I've heard Helio Castroneves talk about trying to forget some of his habits that he learned in the LMP cars versus or when he was going back to the Indy cars. So little different driving styles, but those road course style, those types of drivers know how to adjust. So I think that's why they make it in the LMP cars.
Okay.
Speaking of Jimmy being in it, Emerson, do you think if IndyCar, after the season, if he does more IndyCar, you think he's gonna completely finish his career out in IMSA? Do you think maybe?
I could see him doing it. I think he wants to do Le Mans. I really think Jimmy wants to somehow, somewhere maybe in his 50s, end up doing Le Mans.
I do think Jimmy, it would help just because he's been in NASCAR for so long. And he is just searching for road course experience. So in his case, I think it's going to help. And I do think he would probably end his career in a sports car versus an Indy car.
I think he's just going to try IndyCar for like a year or two, maybe 3. And then he'll just go like sports cars.
I don't know how long he's going to take it. I mean, granted, he's 45, so he can't, maybe go as long as he wants. But you hear him all the time. He's like, I grew up on, in California, going to Long Beach and all that, Auto Club. He thought he was going down the IndyCar route, and then bam, he's in a stock car. So I think he has a love for IndyCar that he's just finally able to try out on his own.
Kind of like how Tony Stewart kind of went like the opposite way. He went from like the IndyCar open wheel stuff and then bam, NASCAR too.
These are like phenomenal transitions, by the way. That the one that Tony Stewart made, insane. Sam Hornish, I know he came from open wheel. He was, I think, the best thing during his time in open wheel. And then he makes it to NASCAR. I mean, I knew he won Xfinity races and all that. He almost won an Xfinity championship, but really kind of struggled in NASCAR.
Yeah, kind of like when they got to the Glen and had that major wreck in barrels.
Man, it sucks that that's the only thing we can remember of him in his Cup career. It's terrible.
She never left IndyCar. He dominated the ovals and won 2 championships, I believe. And he said this out loud once he won the 500 in 2006. That's all he needed, and he had Penske on his side, so that's all he needed for the NASCAR ride.
And it's kind of like Montoya. Montoya came over from F1. I mean, he got wins and stuff.
He won NASCAR. 7 races in F1. He went from F1. He did the test with Jeff Gordon at Indianapolis Road Course. He drove Jeff Gordon's stock car. Gordon drove the Williams F1 car. That was phenomenal to hear Jeff Gordon drove an F1 car. And I think that was, Montoya's first taste of NASCAR. He's like, I need more. Plus,
and then he did it from what? 09 to something, or was it
07 to 2014?
He had, a lot of good races with Ganassi, and then, like, a lot of people just remember the jet dryer for him, unfortunately.
Yeah. But he has 2 wins in the Cup Series. 2007 Sonoma, his rookie year at Sonoma, by the way, that was phenomenal. 2010 Watkins Glen. He made the playoffs in 2009. He almost won Indy.
He won Dover?
He almost won Dover. He choked it to Tony Stewart. He restarted outside of Jimmy Johnson, who got a restart penalty at 2013 Dover.
Oh, and then there was 2 more crossovers from F1. Hamilton, Stewart, and then you had Jimmy and Alonso.
Yeah. That. By the way, say those 6 drivers' names: Montoya, Gordon, Hamilton, Stewart, Alonso, Johnson. What a group of drivers that is.
That's knowledge between those 6.
That is a lot of race wins.
Yep.
And one more thing on IMSA, man. Kamui Kobayashi. I know he came from open wheel in F1, but he has been lighting it up in that number 48. Kamui Kobayashi is having the time of his life in these DPIs.
That I definitely do remember seeing, watching Sebring, watching the gaps come down. He knows how to wheel that car.
Yeah, I'm very, very happy. I hope Kobayashi does IMSA full time. I know he's working with the 48 team a lot, and they're gonna only do the crown jewels, but I hope Kobayashi can come and I think he can compete for an IMSA title with the way he drives. Man, it's a little aggressive, but I mean, these sports cars, man, they're almost a little, at least on iRacing, the LMP2's pretty stable, pretty easy to drive, so you can really throw it in. You have to be aggressive to make up time, and
depending on how the 48 team does, maybe they will do a full-time
next
year or something.
Maybe they're just waiting on Jimmy to come out full-time, or come out of his IndyCar stint, or I don't know. But that is something. I hope Kobayashi, does good things in IMSA because he can contend for IMSA titles, I think. Malika went to a local short track this week, and he's not here with us, but he met Tony Hirschman this past weekend at Mahoning Valley. I wish he'd be here, tell us how that went. But a couple more things, upcoming races this weekend. Formula E at Rome. I haven't watched a Formula E race in a very long time, but
Same.
I took a look at, Rome, and it is, as you'd expect, the beautiful architecture in the background of race cars. That I might just have to tune into Formula E this weekend because that might be an amazing spectacle.
Where would you be able to watch that? Personally, because I don't know.
Right.
What's up, AJ?
Can you watch it on their website, or are they on FS1?
I think FS1. I
Because
think.
last year when I think I watched maybe one or two, I saw it on YouTube. Like they were streaming it on there.
Yeah, I think they
somewhere.
have to stream on
That,
YouTube.
yeah, that I think is what it was, not their website there.
I think maybe only like the Formula E races in the States maybe make it to FS1. I don't know.
I don't know, I watched it before. I think it's pretty interesting. They switch the cars in the middle of the races.
That is wild.
It's different.
Could you imagine that in other motorsport? You come in, need
I
a new
don't know
car.
if NASCAR could ever do that though.
Oh my goodness. Well, I mean, they bring backup cars. Why not?
Just have
No
like
more.
3-4 cars for the top teams.
There's
The
no
other-
more switch anymore. I think last year was the first year of they were able to complete a full race on one battery.
Oh, that's cool.
I think they should just make
I
the
didn't
races
know.
a little bit longer. Why not?
Thought that was exciting. That is definitely what intrigued me first about Formula E, was seeing the drivers jump out of the cars and jump into another one. It's like, what is going on?
I thought that was fun. That's why I watched a couple races. I was like, that's interesting.
That could be very interesting. I'm very excited to see how Formula E goes this weekend. They've had already one round this season. I can't pronounce it for the life of me, but I know they've had a doubleheader weekend in February, and so this is their next set of rounds this season. And then also Super GT is starting up again. I didn't know Okayama is still a track that they use, but Okayama is the opening round of Super GT this season. If you don't know, Super GT is basically the highest form of touring cars in Japan. Heikki Kovalainen is going to be in this series. He's going to be in a Toyota GT500. I mean, that is insane. That's not a name I expected to see on the entry list, but it's phenomenal. I love sports cars. If there's any way I can tune in, if y'all know any way I can tune into Super GT this weekend, let me know. I want to see that. I want to see Okayama first. I love Okayama on iRacing, and I want to see Kovalainen and how he does.
Speaking of, you know how we were just talking about Sebring? You know the MX-5s? I heard that they had a 3-wide finish there in the MX-5.
Oh, in real life. Oh,
Real life.
wow.
Because I remember something happening. I saw the video about it. I'm like, wow, 3-wide finish in a MX-5 race at Sebring? Like, dang.
So they raced at Sebring and they raced at Daytona, and
Right,
both
right.
finished were unbelievable. If it was an iRace, everyone would be dead. But
True that.
these guys are at least halfway professional. No, they're professional drivers, and all of them made it across clean, and it was incredible to see.
You know what took me away was at Daytona watching them slam, each other, like actually bump draft like you would in NASCAR in those things. That is phenomenal to me. And then have them not wreck like it's an iRacing rookie or D-class race.
They were practically bumping them and then having to ride the brakes because they had such a run on the guy in front of them. But jumping out of line was too much of a risk.
So what do you think of Kovalainen and how he stacks? I mean, I don't know how he stacks him in the field, but this is similar to DTM. They actually Super GT and DTM had a crossover race in 2019.
The DTM, like
The German touring car, so it's the same thing, but for German.
what series is the 24 Hours of Dubai? Is that DTM?
It's the 24-hour series, so it's kind of its own thing. But Kovalainen and Super GT, what do you think? What do you make of that, AJ?
I gotta be honest, I'm not too educated on this.
Okay, that's fine. I figure you might have something to say. You know, seeing Kovalainen in the car again. I think that, you know, that's crazy. I'm excited. I actually really want to watch Super GT this weekend.
Is Super GT like GT3 cars or GT4 or something?
I think it's GT3, and then I don't know what the GT500 cars are. I don't know what they make GT500 cars out of. I don't know why I said out of. But yeah, we're kind of, you know, at the end of our motorsports segment today. Just kick it back a little bit. Markle reminded me before starting today. Sam Darnold is now a Carolina Panther. I don't know what to make of that. That is an interesting trade.
I don't know how the rest of the team is at the moment. Like, usually Carolina has a good defense every year, it seems like. But with Sam Darnold, maybe they can, I don't know, do a little bit better this year? Maybe, maybe not.
I think it was important for Sam Darnold to get out of New York because the Jets are all over the place, and Sam Darnold, I don't think ever got a fair shot in the NFL. So I'm very happy he got out of that situation. I don't know what situation Carolina's going to put him in now. Hopefully it's better than the Jets, but we'll have to see. Oh, AJ, whatever sport tickles you. Do you watch baseball?
Yeah, I watch a little bit of baseball, follow a little bit of golf. That's probably about it. A little bit of basketball.
Okay. You catch up with opening day this past weekend? Opening weekend?
A little bit with the Cubs and Sox, yeah. I think they both split their few opening games 1-1. I'm not sure what they did today, though. I know the Sox are a little more promising looking this year, but the Cubs still have a lot of really young players, so a lot of excitement.
Yeah, as for me, opening day, Tigers, they won their first 2 games in the first 2 days, and now these last 2 days they've lost both. So we're 2-2, and then we lost majorly today, 15-6. So, wow. Yeah. But we got a lot of young guns. Miggy hit another home run this year in the first game, so that's pretty cool.
Oh, that's right. I did see him hit Miggy hit that home run in the snow.
In the snow. It was in the snow opening day.
Wow.
Yep.
That was crazy because that was a blizzard. I mean,
April 1st, Michigan. Great April Fool's Day for us.
Wow, I did not. You're gonna have to send me that after this, man. That is wild.
I mean, it had to have been a stinger, and he still hit it over the wall. And I think he slid into second because he thought it was off the wall or something.
Yeah,
I did catch that.
That is.
If I can, I'll find the video, Emerson, and I'll share it to you. Should be on Facebook somewhere.
That is gnarly. Yeah, the Astros, I think they swept their first 4 games. They went against division rival Oakland. Beat them into the ground, beat them into submission. At least the first 3 games. I didn't check the score the 4th game. I was just told they won the 4th game. I don't know if they did or not. Don't crucify me that I'm a Houston fan. They're just my home team. I'm sorry. I don't watch too much baseball. I only watch October.
Speaking of March that just ended, I think the game's going on right now.
Oh, is it?
Gonzaga versus Baylor. Baylor. It's 47-37 to Baylor over Gonzaga right now.
Let's see how it is. Was it NCAA?
That is halftime right now.
It's halftime right now. But yeah, he is correct. That is the score. There it is, right off of Google. 47-37. That I might have to catch the rest of that. It's on CBS. Okay.
On the other hand, though, did you see the end of the Gonzaga UCLA game?
I did not. I haven't watched any. I just knew just knew Houston was in the Final Four.
They were tied 90-90 with 8 seconds left.
I saw the half-court shot. Yes. I saw the half-court shot.
Gonzaga won it with that goddamn half-court shot. I was like, yes, UCLA, you tied it. Nope.
Oh my
got denied by a buzzer beater.
I love that, dude. Every buzzer beater, you see the losing team, they are jaws dropped to the floor. It is phenomenal to see their reactions, man. I love it. I don't really watch basketball. I don't watch college. I don't watch NBA. But when I see buzzer beaters like that, man, and I see the losing team, I always get a kick out of it. That is insane.
I watch
First a
more
shot.
college. I feel like they're more entertaining right now versus the NBA.
Yeah.
Personally, because they have like major super teams in the NBA at the moment, and I feel like that kind of kills it for me personally.
It's fair.
My opinion.
Yeah, no, I don't watch any, so I don't. I keep up with the Rockets. I know James Harden. That trade was something. I think the Rockets got a lot of players out of it, but I don't think they've won a game since.
Yeah, Nets. He went to the Nets, which I think also Irving, Blake Griffin from us went there, and then like that team's now stacked. So it's probably gonna be like Brooklyn and I think the Lakers this year or something. So
What's up,
And Kevin Durant.
Oh.
Yeah,
I
Kevin
forgot
Durant,
about that. He went to
Griffin,
Golden State.
Irving, and Harden.
Ring chasing.
Yeah, that's a crazy lineup.
That's crazy. I again only no names, don't know stats or how many years they've been in the league, but that's wild. That does sound like a stacked roster. I'll have to watch in the summer when the championship comes around. Oh goodness.
I was gonna look up NHL standings because I know my team's last. Like the Wings are, I don't know, like dead last or something. Unfortunately, just in a major rebuild for us. I don't know if you guys watch hockey at all.
I don't really. I have notifications from ESPN about Stars. The Dallas Stars scored, and that's it.
I'm gonna grab that real quick. Let the standings load. Yeah, for me, unfortunately, the Wings are 13, 22, and 5.
If you're out there, go ahead and comment down below. You know how your professional sports team's doing. I'd like to hear. Our one viewer's out on Twitch, so welcome Twitch viewer. Hopefully you're not a bot. Hopefully you're enjoying. Oh man.
Hey, Jay, do you like hockey at all?
I don't follow hockey, nope.
I watched one hockey game. I think one of the playoff games last season. Oh, Phoenix just beat Houston by 3 again. Yay! Houston has like a 3-27 record or something like that in the NBA. I just got the notification. I'll check it right now. Oh, we're 13-36. Lovely. I feel like a Detroit team.
You hold on. Give me a second. Give me a second.
Oh no.
Yeah, we are 15-35 there.
Hey, buddy.
And basketball. Yay, Pistons were last.
No, you're not.
And our side,
Oh,
we
on
are
your side, yeah.
15-35.
Good.
Yeah, the Timberwolves are worse than the Rockets. They're 13-38.
Jeez.
So we're a third from the bottom.
Wow.
So, and actually, looking at basketball, the Jazz are 38-12. Utah doing good there.
Wow.
That's interesting. The Suns, I think that's Malika's team, right? Or is he like the Knicks? I don't remember what he said.
Yeah, he's a Knicks fan, I think.
Yeah, they're 25-26.
So how about on the iRacing side of things? You know, we're all iRacers. How's it been going?
Good. Anybody else here watch NASCAR Coca-Cola? I know we all don't watch it all the time.
I
but
tuned in this past weekend, or the past Tuesday, and it looked boring because I tuned in and I clicked back off of it.
I didn't even watch the last one.
Auto Club.
Yeah, I didn't watch it.
I clicked on it. They were doing like an onboard with like a spotter or whatever. I clicked off of it after a minute. Came back in. They were doing another driver and spotter. I'm like, is Evan Pasoko even on the call? Like, I didn't hear his voice for like 10 minutes.
Like, I wanted to look up the standings before we go, but I don't even know where to go for that. Personally.
What's going on, Devin?
Hey, sorry guys, we
you're
had the
good.
practice race. I bowed out.
You're
Oh,
fine.
you're good.
I was just talking. This is right now. We're kicking it. We're talking about how our professional sports teams were doing. Talking about iRacing now. But you're a hockey fan. What do you feel about hockey? You and Marco can chat hockey.
Ooh, you
What
don't
do you like?
wanna-
What do you like,
You don't.
Devin?
Hurricanes.
So at least your
Hurricanes.
team's good, okay? At least you're not us. We're last. I think I just told him we're 13, 22, and 5.
So
Hey, you tied someone.
I would. I was 9 years old, and I went to my first game. It was the very, was it 8? No, 97. I was 9. So yeah, 9 years old. Went to my first game in the fall of '97 at Greensboro Coliseum, because Raleigh, the PNC Arena in Raleigh wasn't built yet. They were building it, so they had to play in Greensboro for the first like 2 years or 3 years. So I went to my first Hurricanes game at '97. They played the New Jersey Devils, and they ended up winning 3-2. And I got the commemorative puck for the first game, and I've been a fan ever since. I followed them through my deployment to Afghanistan. I would wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning and do NHL Center Ice to watch them.
So
and I would stay up late to watch them on the West Coast when I was living on the East Coast, and when I was on the West Coast, they started games at like 4 o'clock, so I was still at work, and I would have Center Ice on my phone and watch them for the last hour of work.
I think my earliest memory, like, I've always been a Detroit fan of all mine, even though we're not, been so good like past however long for any of them. I just remember '07 when I think that was the last time they made the Stanley Cup or whatever. I know we lost it or whatever, but we went down there, drove down with everybody honking the horns and stuff, and I thought that was pretty fun that we made the playoffs. It was actually pretty cool to go, down there and see all that.
Yep, I skipped my my high school graduation celebration to watch the Hurricanes win.
What?
Dang.
Oh, okay. The Stanley Cup. Okay,
That's pretty cool.
that's pretty cool. I was
Yeah,
like, I thought it was just the game. Like, oh, you could have given up a game.
Nope, it was Game 7 of the
Okay.
Stanley Cup Finals. They were playing Edmonton. 2006. That's when I graduated high school.
Wow.
It was the day I graduated. So we had our graduation ceremony,
Mhm.
and I got my diploma and all that stuff and all that. And as soon as it was over, in the gym they had a commemorative celebration dance, final high school dance, all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I skipped that, hopped in my car, drove home, and watched the Hurricanes win the Stanley Cup.
Sounds better. I don't watch hockey, but if I was a hockey fan, that probably sounds better.
Yep. Apparently, that's right when cell phones were. So
Yeah.
my cell phone was ringing, and I never answered it because I put it on silent.
Yeah.
Because when I watch hockey games,
Yeah.
I put everything on silent. I don't when I'm. The Hurricanes play on Thursday nights when our races are, and iRacing.
Yeah.
And I will put the game. Now I have a TV that I can watch it on, but I used to have it on my phone. And when I would get quiet during the practice before the race,
No, you're watching the game.
I'm watching the Hurricanes play.
Wow.
Yep.
All right. So.
And then- Yeah, and you'll hear me the last couple of since I stream all the races and stuff
Yeah.
now. The last couple of races I've been up I had the Hurricanes up in the TV on it was a practice race or the fun race on Thursday night, the dirt one.
Oh, okay.
And I had the Hurricanes playing on the TV, and I was updating the score as I was racing.
Wow.
When I was going down the straightaway at Bristol in those big blocks, I would glance up at the TV and see what the score was.
That's crazy. Did Air Force Gaming do the Creventic 12-hour?
No,
No?
but we did have one guy who is a part of another team. He's part of Porsche Esports,
Okay.
and they won.
They won the Creventic 12-hour
that's
for the
cool.
split?
They won the top split.
Wow, look at that.
Dang. Nice.
Chris Walsh.
Oh,
is-
Chris Walsh is a beast. Of course he did.
Oh yeah, you know him from
he was
Operation E Motorsports.
he was a pro driver in the Operation E Motorsports series. Yeah,
Yeah, him and was it Egerchek
Edgar checks the pro driver. Yeah,
and Bass.
him too.
So yeah, they're all Air Force guys, but only Walsh is a part of the Porsche Esports team.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, they won. They won top split in GT3.
So I wrecked my team out of like a top 10. Not even because I didn't practice. I didn't practice.
Oh,
enough.
I did that in our 12 hours of Sebring. So
See, I felt comfortable with the car and the track though. I was actually setting 222s. I was catching people. I dropped to 10th after I wrecked 3 times on my first stint. My first lap of the first stint. I fell from 7th to 10th. Got up to 9th. And then I forgot to drink water on the pit lane. So I tried to do it, I literally timed this out. I got my bottle of water onto my desk before the bus stop, exited the bus stop, unscrewed the cap, came out of turn 1, started drinking water. After Radion, once I, got through the kink and got onto the straight, I tried to screw the cap closed. I tried, there's a couch, so I tried to throw it to my left. Once I did that, I looked up and my left sides are in the grass and I'm spinning across the track. Right front is in the in the guardrail, and we crashed. 27 minutes of damage later, I come off the pit lane. I'm coming off the pit lane. I clip the right rear tire on the grass. It's there on pit exit. I spin across the left side. So I'm sorry, AJ.
Oh man, don't be sorry, dude. I could have been the one wrecking it multiple times. I got lucky not hitting anything in my first couple spins, and I did have a spin where I pumped the front bumper and had some damage repair time. So man, it's a 12-hour race. We've all been there. I've been there.
Don't worry. On our 12-hour Sebrings, 2 weeks ago, I must have zoned out or something. I just hit the gas in a turn and I went straight off into the grass in our 12 hours, and we went from 5th to 8th. Unfortunately, after my little mess up with me, Emerson, and Malico. So I kind of felt bad after that too, Emerson. Still do.
It happens. I hope we don't wreck out of the Nürburgring, but it might happen.
Talking about NASCAR, Emerson, they have 5 different winners, just like the real life race, and they've had 5 races.
Wow.
Surprising.
Sorry, I missed the F1. I was looking forward to talking about F1 too.
Yeah.
No problem.
Fine. We'll hit them up again next week before Imola. But
Talk
yeah.
about this is the first time since 2006 that they've raced at Imola.
They raced there last year.
No, they didn't.
Yeah, they did.
They did? They raced at Imola?
Yeah.
They did.
I thought they raced at Mugello.
They raced
both.
both.
What?
The 3 Italian.
Yeah, there was 3 Italian
GP.
races last season.
Devin's like, oh.
We'll have a good pre-race talk.
Yeah, we'll talk about him all next week. So this weekend.
Yeah, you gotta see those highlights, man. It's not as good as the other one.
It was.
So,
Oh man.
so this weekend we have.
Was that the one that Max got wrecked out at the very beginning?
That was Mugello, I think.
Max finished 3rd
And Mugello?
at Imola.
Imola, yeah.
At Pierre Gasly, that's right. That was Pierre Gasly's huge run where he finished 4th.
But all right, real quick before we go, let's rank what races we have this week. We have Cup at Martinsville, Xfinity Martinsville.
I think that's...
And then it's Formula E and Super GT really, and any short track races around y'all can throw out there. Anyway, I was trying to get my friend Eric Brennan on here because he is one of my one of the people I work with on Pit Stop TV, but he also now is the lead commentator for the Smart Modified Tour. That's a big modified tour up in the Northeast, and he commentated race 1 of the season, or not race 1. I think they're into the season now, but they were at South Boston. There's a big there was a crash. I think a driver was hospitalized. I think they're fine now. And then Ryan Preece ended up winning that race. I wanted him to come here and talk about it, but he's got other commitments tonight. Very busy man. If you're commentating a tour like that, so completely understand. But
Emerson,
yeah.
What about Outlaws? If you wanted to bring that up,
I'll pitch it to him. We'll see how it goes. He is a busy man though, and I think I don't want to take him away from Pit Stop TV because that's That's his prior commitment. I'm already.
Well, I'm talking about like, do you want to talk about Outlaws coming up?
Oh.
My bad.
Oh, okay.
I was like, oh, I thought you were. My bad. I thought listing you stuff you wanted to talk, like possibly add in before the end of it.
Oh, sure.
Oh, I thought like, oh yeah, we're racing Wednesday and it's still playoffs. Maybe you want to add that in there for Adam.
Sure, yeah. If you like racing and you got nothing to do Wednesday night, please tune in either on my YouTube channel, Extreme World Racing League, or on the Outlaw Sim Series YouTube channel, that's the name, or the Facebook page, Outlaw Sim Series, or the one person who's watching on Twitch, tune back here Wednesday night. But
we'll try getting it growing. We'll advertise.
Absolutely, yeah. We'll throw it out there. We'll post the groups that we can and all that. But this Wednesday night Outlaw Sim Series, we're at Dover this weekend. I almost forgot the track. It's gonna be a fun track, middle of the playoffs, middle race with the middle round of the middle of the playoffs. The tension's the highest. There's drivers who had rough races at Las Vegas outside the cut line. Drivers who had amazing races at Las Vegas trying to stay above that cut line. Schumacher's trying to go for his 5th podium. This is absolutely insane what's going on there in the Outlaw Sim Series. Make sure you tune in. If you're trying to join, I think next season we're going to do open setups for the truck series. So if you like open setups and trucks, let me know. Comment or whatever. We'll get you hooked up. We'll get you in. It's a fun series, very clean series. Long green flag runs. Fixed Xfinity series Wednesday nights. Yeah, make sure you tune in. Markle, yeah. How are you feeling about Dover?
Dover should be fun. To be honest with you, haven't done any practice.
I'm shocked Malenko has.
Like, I want to. Dover's one of my... Actually, I think it's my favorite track now thinking about it on iRacing at the moment. It's one of the only ones that I have, like, 2 or more wins at. I don't know if I'm going to be fast. Just Causey, week in, week out. I think he's got a lot of experience on iRacing, from what I remember. And just, I don't know, Malenko seems to adapt to everything well. Same with Max. And we all got onto it this, like, last year and a half or so. And yeah. I've had it a little bit longer than everybody, but I was just like, I don't know how they do it. So, personally. But they also all practice probably a lot more than I ever will or do. So, I like to do a lot of other things, plus I work.
And then Thursday night, we have SRN. You can watch Devin and I crash our Xfinity car. Oh, wait, no, we're not streaming it. But you can watch the SRN broadcast on Speed Racing Network. You can watch it. Oh, Devin streams it, right?
Yeah.
I used to stream it. I don't stream it for reasons. But yeah, I ever tuned into Devin's stream on his YouTube, which is your full name, right? Devin Kenton Zimmerman?
That's it.
Facebook.
Yep, same
also
thing.
On this, and then
Twitch is Invader_Zim33.
Absolutely. And then if for whatever reason you can't find any of those 3, come watch the Speed Racing Network broadcast. You can come watch the Tank Racing team be a highlight reel at Martinsville. It'll be fun.
Yeah, we had a good showing tonight. Tonight was the practice race, so that's why I had to dip out a little bit. But
yeah,
practice race went pretty well. I don't know how well it's going to go when we have a full, 30 plus cars on the track, but with about 15, we did all right.
After this, I'm paying my entry fee and putting some laps in, so that'll be fun. But yeah, the next time EWR Motorsport 57 takes to the track is later this month, April 23rd, 24th, and or 25th. We'll be running the 24 hours in Evergreen. Obviously we'll talk more about that in the coming weeks as well.
This Wednesday, we'll try to get some laps in on that. So,
yeah, do you own the track? And I don't know what car we're running. Either a Mercedes or an Audi.
So I'll probably do
maybe
laps before Adam's race after I do my AI race.
Okay.
So,
and maybe we'll do. We'll see you guys. I'll be on the Air Force Gaming team for that race.
Right. What car are y'all running? Or have y'all chosen it?
The BMW M4 GT3.
We were considering the BMW, and then I think they've nerfed it.
That's becoming one of my favorite cars to drive.
Should be a fun
I'm
one.
still more for the Mercedes, but it looks like you guys on the Audi.
Landon likes the Audi the way it looks. I've always picked the Audi on Gran Turismo and Project Cars. I've always liked the Audi. I was actually down for the Mercedes. And then Landon kind of.
From what I was hearing from you guys, it sounds like that's the better handling. But
and then,
if
well,
the
and then
Audi's gonna be more likely for me to wreck, I would rather not.
No, I think it's more just a tighter car. I think it's not a loose car or anything like that. But,
See, the Beamer drives like a F1 car, where you have to brake. You have to brake in a straight line. Yeah, you have to brake in a straight line. You can't trail brake through the turn.
I'm gonna wreck it.
I like that driving. So,
AJ, you doing anything above D class this week?
Yeah, even though I'm level A in my road and my oval, I mainly race D class stuff. No, I'm actually trying to race those F3 cars. They're easy to drive, but they're hard to get right. And certain tracks I'm better at. Nürburgring I wasn't terrible at.
Any IndyCar this week for you?
I haven't ran the IndyCar stuff in a while. They're at Kentucky. I got it saved, so maybe. But I don't run them too much.
You should have ran IndyCar Road at the Nordschleife.
No, I don't want to drive anything at the Nordschleife.
Why not? Come on, do some Nürburgring, man.
The ring is one thing. The whole track is another.
Oh yeah, it's part of the ring. It's the whole outside. It's the ring. The Nordschleife is the ring.
About that track.
Would you just run the GP track this week?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you turn left at that final corner, you start the Nordschleife.
Yep. I don't know if I've ever made around that track cleanly once.
You got to do it for Sabine, man.
Oh, you've seen that video.
Sabine Smith. Unfortunately, I don't know if everyone knows, but yeah, she passed away for cancer. But she was like the queen of the Nürburgring.
I know who you're talking about.
I didn't.
She got a Ford Transit van around there in like 10 minutes.
Oh yeah, that's right.
we were watching a Jimmy Broadbent video where he was doing a tribute to her in a Ford Transit.
Yeah.
But yeah, what are we ranking this week, and what are y'all looking forward to the most? Cup race, Xfinity race, Formula E, Super GT. I'm all about Heikki Kovalainen in the Super GT race, man.
I don't know. I love Cup at Martinsville. I feel like they always have decently good races there every year. It seems like playoff races more than this race coming up usually, but you know, there's different implications on it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited for just Martinsville in general. I think that seeing the Xfinity guys, like we talked about earlier, with Gregson. I'm interested to see what's going to happen with Gregson at Martinsville, because we know there's bad blood between him and pretty much all of the JGR drivers now.
Oh.
Yeah, so I'm just interested to see what's going to go on there, and if Junior talked to him or anything like that, which I'm sure Junior might mention or might get some questions about on his podcast tomorrow. So that'll be interesting to hear. But yeah, I'm excited for the Xfinity race, probably most of all.
I know we did predictions, but do you think we get a double winner or a new winner again?
I'm more on new winner.
For the Cups or for Xfinity?
For Cup. Because we've had a different winner every race.
I think we're going to get a new winner. I mean, I picked Chase, so.
I was say Chase or Denny.
It's Chase or Denny, so.
Yeah, that's what we all kind of picked.
Yep, new winner. I'll go with that.
Right on. But yeah, this went a little over time, but that's okay. We're still getting our feet wet in this. I wanted to keep it in time, and then we got into such an in-depth conversation about F1. I
feel like NASCAR and F1, we definitely all talked a bit more. You know, AJ has the IndyCar for sure.
I like IndyCar. I definitely. You know,
I gotta get more into it. So
IMSA, man, I am stoked. I can't wait for Mid Ohio.
Yeah, now that we get to Was it the sprint race part of the season?
Yeah, the meat and potatoes, the IMSA part of the season.
Yeah.
But yeah, what are you looking forward to this weekend, AJ? You gotta be watching some race, huh?
I'll be definitely keeping up with Martinsville, just in general throughout the weekend. Try to keep up with all the fights and angers and tempers that come with short track racing. So that's always exciting, and you're getting me interested in that GT supercar.
Yeah, Super GT.
Super GT. There you go. So you're getting me interested in that. So I'll have to check that out too.
I love that track, man. I hope it's a good show. I hope. I gotta find out where that's being streamed because it's Japanese touring cars. I don't know if we're gonna find it here in the States, but somewhere, some way, we gotta. Oh my goodness! I'm watching Marco's AI thing, and somebody almost crashed.
Just on the lighting or whatever it has. So somehow Alfredo's leading practice.
Yeah, the internets will have that race
somewhere. Yeah, there's gonna be some Twitch stream, some Reddit link somewhere. But yeah, I think that's gonna do it, gentlemen. Final thoughts.
Go Herta.
That's next weekend, no?
Hopefully a Chevy
all the time. Go Herta.
Even in the off season.
So let's see. Go Blaney.
Oh boy.
go Herta, and go Max.
Jimmy.
That's in 2 weeks. F1's 2 weeks.
Hey, I don't care.
For 3
all
weeks.
the time. Go Max. Max is on iRacing enough. Go Max.
Mox, Super Mox.
Yes, exactly.
I don't know. In this practice that I'm doing, though, Alfredo's leading.
Yes. I hope. One can dream.
One day.
One day. I love Alfredo, man. He's such a great guy. Meeting him at Texas a couple years ago, best thing to happen to me. Easily gonna be, my favorite driver in NASCAR. I just don't know about this move to Cup right now, especially in the 38 car.
Speaking of meeting people, I met Jimmy at Michigan.
You did? Oh, I have to.
When I went there, that was fun.
I
got him to
figured,
sign something.
COVID provided anyway, but even that, I thought, my chance. Oh, like Coda's gonna be my chance. I'm gonna go meet Jimmy. They don't even have Coda on the schedule. So.
I mean, I could try again and bow out.
That was sad. Well, I don't know this year though because the restrictions. But still, it doesn't even matter for me. Coda was gonna be my chance. I gotta now, I guess, wait for IMSA to go to Coda or something.
He's not doing Texas, is he?
No, he's not. Well, no, he's not doing ovals.
That sucks.
Yeah. Oh well.
All the tracks he would do better at too.
Make the trek out to Barber, I guess. It's only like 11 hours. But yeah.
Do it.
Not this season, at least. But how's it feel to get another one of these podcasts off the ground, Marco?
Yeah, it was fun.
I'm hoping we can keep this gravy train rolling a little bit more. Hope we can garner some interest as well. Figured Malco was going to join us here. He definitely would have kept us entertained.
He probably would try to. Or it sounded like he wants to. Maybe he had something going on today, and
I think he was sleeping.
that too. I'm gonna make mine.
Devin, AJ, would y'all think of joining us? I know you've been doing a couple other podcasts, AJ, but glad for you to join us in this one.
Yeah, I'd like to definitely talk about the real racing going on, and again, like I said at the beginning of the podcast, we all follow racing in general, and we all follow certain ones more than others, and I think that would be a great mix for a show like this.
Absolutely. I'll get better, dishing it out a little bit better as well, as we kind of get our feet wet. Devin, I know you kind of popped in and out, but at least the NASCAR segment, this overtime segment, how you feeling?
Good. Yeah, just every once in a while I'll probably pop out because of the practice for the SRN league. I just like to do those because I've never really ran Martinsville, so I needed the practice. So that's why I hopped out. But yeah, it's been fun talking about it. Like I said, next time hopefully I can talk about the the F1 a little bit because I really wanted to be a part of that segment.
Oh man, yeah, we had an in-depth conversation about Max and Lewis, and then where the midfield's ranked and the Haas situation. It was a pretty good one, and if George Russell's going to score a point and all that jazz.
Max over Lewis this season. McLaren's going to be third and beat out Ferrari barely. And Haas will be a back marker and replace Williams as the back marker.
Well, we were talking more about like the inner workings of the season, like how they're not upgrading the car this season, focusing on 22.
Oh,
why?
Yeah.
AJ really drove the Haas conversation. I didn't remember that they're not even upgrading the car this season. They're focusing on 2022, and basically it better pay off next season.
Yeah, they should also seriously think about switching engine.
I don't think that's a bad move for them. I agree.
Because with the new specs, it's supposed to make engines come in, like new engine manufacturers come in easy. Like, even though Honda's leaving, Red Bull is going to have their own engine now.
What?
So
yeah, they're carrying over from what Honda.
Over the Honda.
They're going to develop it from then on. I kind of think Ferrari's got Gene Haas by the balls. I don't think he's getting out of Ferrari.
They got to find some way and get Ford. Bring back Ford.
Oh, God.
Oh, I'm all for that. I'm all for the change. I'm just saying they delegated a lot of their money because of the money restrictions that were implemented this year to Haas and developing for them. So they literally kept Ferrari employees employed and sent them over to Haas in a way.
Oh, that's a good point, actually.
Yeah. So
maybe we can talk about that more next time too.
Yep.
But yeah, I think Haas is going to be a back marker this season. George will get a point at some point through this season. He will score at least 1 point. And what was the last one?
I think that was it. We just talked more about the battle at the end and Verstappen and how Lewis are two different.
Defense, Lewis.
That was
great.
Two different rules, yeah.
I get both Max and Lewis's frustration with the rules.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was dumb. And
FIA shouldn't intervene mid-race.
Yeah, it shouldn't intervene in the race. They said they didn't intervene, but they did. We all know they did.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like they held. The thing was though once they started doing that, they did maintain consistent. Like they gave Lewis those warnings.
Yeah.
And Max made the pass using the same line that Lewis had been taking earlier in the race. So I mean, they kept that consistent. So
right.
That was just Lewis learning and making a great defense against it. So
fair enough. Well, that I think is gonna do it. We'll discuss all that more in depth next week as we set ourselves up for how we feel about Imola. And we're gonna get Devin up to speed. He's about 15 years behind on the F1 calendar, so we'll get him all up to date for Imola. We'll break down NASCAR next week, we'll break down NASCAR at Martinsville next week. I'll have to figure out how I'm gonna watch Rome and Japan, Rome and Okayama this weekend. I'll get that. I don't know how. I'll figure it out. And we'll be back here next week. Hopefully a little bit full of a crowd, but I think a great first show, gentlemen. Thank you for joining, and hope everybody who watched enjoyed a great show. Until next time, y'all stay safe. We'll see you then.